A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Jerry of the Circus. For Jerry of the Circus.
Johnny Bradley is in there with that lion. Golly, listen to him yell. Can't somebody help him quick?
Drag that cage up there to this door. I'm going in there.
You gotta save him. You just gotta.
Gee whiz, Mr. Jason. He'll get killed. Well, I've got to save that man. Nemo is the most dangerous lion I've got. Out of my way, folks. I'm going to open that door.
Out of my way. Any of you folks seen Jason around here?
He's safe.
He's not hurt. Bradley. Oh, thank heaven.
Oh, so there you are. Listen, young man, I'd thank you to keep your toothless old lions out of my wagon.
What?
Toothless?
Well, Where is he?
Why, it's an imposition, that's what it is. The idea of letting those old cats around loose might scare someone to death, you might.
But Mr. Bradley...
But me no buts, young man. Just keep those mangy, moth-eaten lions out of my way. There he is again. Now, here was I reading some of Shakespeare's finest sonnets, and that cowardly lion leaped into my wagon, so startling me that I reached for my shoe and gave him a well-deserved cuff on the ear.
I'm hearing things. It can't be true.
Well,
where is he now, Mr. Bradley?
Well, crouching back of my trunk, a yellow-livered jungle cat. Why, I was so overcome with anger at being disturbed that I fear I lost control of myself and threw everything at him that I could lay my hands on.
Well, if you'll get out of the doorway, Mr. Bradley, we'll get him into his cage now.
It was preposterous to have let him out in the first place.
Yes, of course. Now, if you'll just get out of the way. Men, move that cage close to the openings and take no chances this time. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Whew. Of all the crazy things I ever heard of.
One of you hand me that long pole. I'll poke him out from behind that trunk.
I must say I see no reason for not going in and taking him out by his ear.
But, Mr. Bradley, that's Nemo.
Makes no difference to me what his name is. He disturbed my rest, and I'm very annoyed.
But Nemo is Jason's most dangerous cat.
Oh, stop it, nonsense.
But he is, really, Mr. Bradley.
Dangerous? Fiddlesticks. Why, he's a great big hulking coward.
Well, that's right, boys. Stand by. Nemo, get out of there. Nemo, scat. Beat it. Oh, good. There he goes. Watch out there. Right into the wagon. Oh, that's swell. There. At last. I'm glad that's over with. Push that wagon on back where it belongs. I'll be over there in a minute. I want to talk to Johnny.
Gee whiz, Jason, I bet you're sure glad to have that lion all safe and sound.
Oh, you bet I am. Oh, Johnny, I'm terribly sorry that lion upset you.
Well, just so it doesn't happen again.
Well, you don't think I'd let a thing like that happen if I could help it, do you?
Well, I always liked you, Jason, and I must admit it seemed kind of careless.
Careless? You don't seem to realize that Nemo is my most vicious cat.
Jerry's been trying to tell me some such foolishness.
Oh, it's no foolishness. That cat is the most treacherous one I've got.
Well, it would seem to me that that would be all the better reason not to let him around loose. Of course, I must admit animals are somewhat out of my line.
Johnny, you certainly take the cake.
Jason, why didn't Nemo hurt Mr. Bradley?
Well, because he was too scared.
But you just said... see, Jason, that doesn't make sense.
I'm just getting you all balled up. I guess I'm not very good at explaining. Now, look, it's like this. Now, you weren't scared, were you, Johnny?
No, I was too mad to think of being scared.
Well, now, if Johnny had been scared, Nemo would have sensed it the moment he had got inside that door. Well, you know that animals can always sense when you're scared, don't you?
Yeah, I know that.
Well, he was plenty scared. What with all the yelling we were doing and trying to catch him, and then Rags barking like mad.
Yeah, I guess he was too scared to think when he lets a little pup chase him across the lot.
What? Do you mean to say that young animal of yours chased that big lion?
Right into your wagon, didn't you, Rags? You see?
You're the fellow who's to blame for putting me to all this trouble, eh?
He certainly is. In all the years I've trained animals, that's the craziest sight I've ever seen.
Go on with what you're going to say.
Well, if Johnny had been scared, Nemo would have leaped onto him and hurt him.
Boy, oh boy.
But instead, Johnny jumped at him and threw things at him, and, well, you see what happened.
Golly, that's sure something.
And a pretty lucky something for me.
You don't know how lucky. Listen, Johnny, when you came out of there and began bawling us out about that toothless old lion, I could hardly talk. I expected that cat to jump out at you any minute.
Yeah, he stood there in the open doorway just talking a long time, didn't he?
I'll say he did. I admit I was scared stiff. For you.
Well, it's all over with now, and I apologize if I was a bit testy.
Jason, Mr. Jason.
Yes?
The cage is back where it belongs.
Oh, thanks, Spike. I'll be over there in a minute.
And who is Spike?
One of the new stakers.
Yeah, I got him his job.
You got him a job?
Sure. That day Zeke jumped the show. Murray needed another man, so I found Spike.
Well, good for you.
I guess I'd better get back to Nemo and see if he's quieted down yet. I'll see you all later.
Better be sure those cages are checked over so nothing like that will happen again.
Oh, you can bet I'll be sure. Well, so long.
See you later, Jason. Oh, Spike.
Hello there, kid. Something wrong?
No, I just wondered how Nemo seemed after all the excitement. Were you heading someplace special?
No, I just thought I'd drop by and see if Murray needs any help. Guess there'll be plenty of cleaning up to do.
Yeah, Nemo sure caused an awful rumpus. Oh, say, you don't know Mr. Bradley.
I know you, Mr. Bradley, but I guess you don't know me.
I'm glad to meet you, Spike. I'm indebted to you for finishing up what I started with Nemo.
Say, you didn't tell me how Nemo is now. It's all over.
Well, he's kind of tuckered out, I should say. He's crouched way back in the corner of his cage, and he's just sort of staring wide-eyed like.
Guess you and Rags scared the stuffing out of him, Mr. Bradley.
Well, I better get going. You should have heard Clara sounding off over there in the wardrobe top.
Well, Spike, glad to have met you. Think you'll stay with us? Jerry here was telling me you're new on the job.
Yeah, I am. Well, I sure hope I stay. Won't be my fault if I don't.
Mr. Randall's a mighty fine man to work for, Spike. And if you treat him right, he'll always treat you right.
Well, I'm satisfied.
Say, you're beginning to look better already, Spike.
Well, how do you mean, Jerry?
Oh, I don't know. You look kind of pale when you first came.
Well, Spike, working out of doors soon puts color into your skin.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Say, why don't you take your cap off while you're working? You'd get lots more sun that way.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I'm just used to wearing a cap.
But you wear it so far down over your left ear, and it covers your head all up.
Yeah? Well, I couldn't work without it, I'm afraid, Jerry.
So, you're a creature of habit, too, my man.
Yeah, I guess I am. Well, sorry, I got to get to work. I'll be seeing you.
Yeah, bye, Spike.
Until we meet again, Spike.
He's nice. I kind of like him.
Yes. Yes, of course.
What's the matter? Something wrong?
What? No. I was just thinking. It's a funny thing. There's something vaguely familiar about that young man's countenance. But somehow it keeps escaping me.
Yeah, people are always reminding me of someone I know, too.
Yeah, but that young man... Funny, I can't just place him.
Well, you couldn't have seen him before because he just joined the show.
Well, it'll come to me. I never forget a face. I tell you, my boy, as a younger man, I had a phenomenal memory.
Yeah, you must have had.
Now, why do you say that, Jerry?
Well, look at all the poetry you know by heart.
Oh, that's nothing, son. Why, in my prime, I used to know most of Shakespeare's plays by heart. Every line.
Really?
Indeed, I did. Not to mention many, many other plays.
Gee, sometimes at school, I can't even remember my lesson for the next day.
We used to do a different play every night. And not just 2-hour plays like in our theaters nowadays. Why, often our plays would last for 4 hours.
You mean to say you'd know enough plays all by heart so you could do a different one every night?
Indeed, yes. It was necessary to know from 30 to 100 or more parts if a man wanted to get a job in the theater in my day.
Golly.
And nowadays, they hire an actor and teach him the part after he's hired.
Say, Mr. Bradley, I just thought of something.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is it, Jerry?
I got a letter from my lawyer today.
You did? You mean that young man back in Jackson City who gave the spaghetti party?
Yeah, my case is coming up before the Superior Court. He hopes tomorrow. At least that seems to be what he was trying to tell me.
Yes, well?
Well, it was kind of mixed up, and Knowing you're pretty smart about things like that, I wondered if you'd like to read it for me and explain exactly what it means.
Why, of course, Jerry, I'd be glad to.
I left the letter in the wagon. It's right over here. Want to walk over?
I'd be glad to.
Good. Come on, Rags. We're going places. Rags! Say Rags!
Now, he was here just a minute ago.
He can get out of sight quicker than anything I ever saw. Rags! Oh, there you are. What you doing in Mr. Bradley's wagon? Of all the curious mutts. Come on, we're heading for our wagon. See, he's happy just as long as we're going someplace.
So, you got a letter from that nice young lawyer. Do you hear from him often, Jerry?
Sure. He writes me every week just to keep me posted on my case. Golly, I'm anxious about that safety deposit box.
I believe you said once it was in your father's name.
Yeah, seems like it's sure taken a long time for the courts to make up their minds to let me open it.
Well, that's the trouble with the law, my boy. Always a lot of red tape.
Seems like a lot of foolishness to me. It just makes common sense that if your dad leaves something behind, he'd want his only son to have it, instead of a lot of strangers.
Yes, I know. But of course the law is meant to protect its citizens, and that's why they want to be sure they don't make mistakes.
Yeah. Hey, Rags, stop running off. That curiosity of yours will get you into trouble one of these days. Well, here we are. If you wait just a jiffy, I'll run in and get the letters. No one here. They're probably hanging around the mess tent waiting for the flag to go up.
Nice doggy. Nice doggy. Now, come on, Rags. Come on. That's right. Yeah, you like to have your ears scratched, eh?
He sure does. Here's the letter. Shall we sit here on the steps?
Fine. Now, let me see what that boy has to say. I mean, that lawyer. Well.
Be quiet, Rags. Can't you see Mr. Bradley is busy?
Well, Jerry, this is simple enough. Young Grayson says he hopes your case will come up, let me see. Yes, that would be tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I thought it said. But what was that stuff about if they didn't have time to do it tomorrow, they'd have to wait until the next something or other?
Let me see. Oh, yes, this is it. If they don't get to your case tomorrow, it will have to be laid over until the next session.
Yeah, but what does that mean? The next day?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jerry, but that means that all the members of the court are adjourned until they're called together again.
But Jiminy Willikers, well, when will that be?
Well, guess that depends on the custom of that state.
Oh, gee, I hope they get it to tomorrow. I'd feel terrible to have to wait much longer to see what's in that box.
Arch Oboler's Plays. The Mutual Broadcasting System has the pleasure of presenting the fourth broadcast of a special 26-week series of plays by radio playwright Arch Oboler. In this series, we hope to bring you dramas full of the excitement and the meaning of plays, told in relation to the expanding world in which we live. The play will be introduced by Arch Oboler.
Tonight, not because I know anything about it, but as a sort of a mutual investigation into a most delightful subject, may we discuss the subject of...
I love you.
Yes, an excursion into the subject of love.
Love. The dictionary has many definitions for it.
Love. Pronounced love. Meaning a strong, complex emotion or feeling, causing one to crave the presence or possession of the object.
Yeah, I know. Craving. Craving the possession of, well, like in the moon pictures.
What do you want?
What do you think?
I don't think.
I bet you're thinking now.
Pretty sure of yourself, aren't you?
Yes.
It's warm for this time of year for Casablanca.
It could be warmer.
Look, why don't you find yourself some nice young guy with them orange blossoms in his teeth?
Do I have to say it?
Why not?
I love you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
Okay, I'll be in my room. If you want me.
Yeah. I know.
Love. Pronounced love. Meaning the yearning of the soul toward what is regarded as good from any point of view.
I know just what you mean. The yearning of the soul. I listen to it every morning while I wash the dishes.
And so your neck, too, will be a clean neck, a wholesome neck. A neck which will make all your neighbors say...
How I wish I had a neck like Mrs. Jones. Maybe I, too, should use corrosive soap flakes.
And now, we bring you today's episode of Plain Jane, the girl who might have been you. Yesterday, as you remember, Plain Jane discovered that Mark Pemberton, the motion picture producer, really was not Mark Pemberton at all, but George Metcalf, a promoter who was wanted by the FBI. Heartbroken, Plain Jane Addams left the DA's office, her fondest dreams shattered against a rock of harsh reality.
Jane, are you crying?
Yes.
Jane, I'm surprised at you.
Oh, Mother, leave me alone.
I'm older than you are, and there are certain things which I simply must tell you.
Tell me how I can get Mark Pemberton back again.
Jane, I'm surprised at you. A grown girl.
A grown girl. That's it. Grown, but a child. Have I ever had...
But, Jane, there is time.
There is no time. Love is now. Oh, Mother, last night as I walked home, I looked at the stars, and they were talking to me saying, Jane, live. Live now. Live to the fullest. Oh, Mother, leave me alone. Please go and leave me alone.
All right, if that's what you want.
Oh, Mark, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. I'll be so lonely. Lonely. The hours into days, into weeks, into months, into years, into decades. Will you ever come back to me, my love? I only love.
Will Mark Pemberton return to Jane? Or is she doomed to an eternity of yearning for the love which, like quicksilver, cannot be grasped? Tune in tomorrow for our next episode of this great story, Plain Jane.
Definition. Love. Pronounced love. The sublimest and holiest spiritual affection.
Sublimest and holiest. Yes, of course, as in a play. Untouched by reality. The playwright's dream, the actor's simulation. All suspended in the chalice of the theater.
Cyrano de Bergerac. It is the third act. Cyrano, he of the ugly nose, has been mortally wounded by his enemies. He comes to visit the lovely Roxanne, whom he has silently loved these many years.
Oh, Cyrano. After 14 years, late for the first time.
Yes. Yes, unhappily my delay was caused by...
By what?
A visitor, most unexpected.
Unexpected and tiresome, I suppose.
Yes, unexpected, although he was a very old acquaintance.
You sent him away?
For the time being, yes. I said, excuse me, this is Saturday. I have a previous engagement, one I cannot miss even for you. Come back an hour from now.
Well, your friend will have to wait. I shall not let you go till dark.
Perhaps a little before dark, I must go.
Cyrano, you faint.
No, it's nothing truly.
But...
my old wound, sometimes...
Oh, my poor friend.
It's nothing. It'll soon be gone. It is gone.
We all have our old wounds. I have mine. Here. An old letter.
His letter. Will you let me read it?
Read his letter? After all these years?
Yes, I do wish to read it today.
All right. Here.
Farewell, Roxanne, because today I die.
The way you read.
I know that it will be today, my own dearly beloved. And my heart still so heavy with love I have not told, and I die without telling you. No more shall my eyes drink the sight of you like wine. Never more with a look that is a kiss follow the sweet grace of you.
How you read it, his letter.
I remember now the way you have of pushing back a lock of hair with one hand from your forehead. And my heart cries out.
His letter. And you read it.
Cries out and keeps crying. Farewell, my dear. My dearest.
How can you read it now? It is dark. How can you read it?
Roxanne.
It was you. Not he who wrote me, but you.
No, Roxanne, no.
It was you.
I swear.
I understand everything now. The letters, that was you.
No.
And the dear, foolish words, that was you.
I never loved you.
Oh, yes, you loved me. Why were you silent for so many years? Why do you break that silence now, today?
Why? Because I shall read you the day's news. An hour or so before dinner, Monsieur de Bergerac died, foully murdered.
Oh, my poor Cyrano. What have they done to you?
Struck down by the sword of a hero, let me fall.
Sister!
No, don't go away. I may not still be here when you return.
Oh, you shall not die. I love you.
No, that's not in the story. Remember when Beauty said, I love you to the beast? That was a fairy prince. His ugliness changed and dissolved like magic. But you see, I am still the same.
And I have done this to you. All my fault. No.
You. I would never have known womanhood and its sweetness but for you. My mother did not love to look at me. I never had a sister. I feared the mistress with a mockery behind her smile. But you, because of you, I've had one friend.
One friend. Oh, my love. My love.
Definition. Love. Pronounced love. Love is to be in a state of perpetual anesthesia.
Anesthesia. Let me see. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Being in love is like, well, being under an ether in an operation. Hey, there's a song in that. Do you mind if I steal it? Listen. There's Novocaine and chloroform. There's twilight sleeping gas. But just one glance from you, my dear, and I go under fast. There's V2 bombs and rockets. There's dynamite and glass. But just one touch of your soft lips, and I go under fast. Oh, you've got me under your skin.
Hey, wait a minute. That's Cole Porter.
Well, how do you like that? You can't trust nobody.
Definition. Love. Pronounced love. Love is the occupation of an idle man.
Brother, I know just what you mean. There I was in Paris at last, and I had an 8-hour pass in which to be, like you say, idle. I beg your pardon. Is this the Champs-Élysées?
Oui, c'est le Champs-Élysées.
Oui means yes, so okay, I'm on the Champs-Élysées. Would you, parlez-vous, like to take a walk?
Je regrette, je ne comprends pas l'anglais.
Something tells me you're telling me you can't talk English.
Je regrette, je ne comprends pas l'anglais.
Oh, you're so pretty. Why the heck didn't I study French in high school?
Ce que vous dites doit être très drôle.
Yeah. Look, baby, I only got 8 hours and I haven't seen a girl in 6 months, and it's Paris. And we're the liberators, like it says in the handbook. So will you sit on this bench and listen to me?
Je ne comprends pas.
Sit on this bench. Squattez-vous.
Oh, vous voulez que je m'assoie avec vous? Très bien.
The baby. All right. Now, my name is Joe Smith, and I'm a sergeant, which is a very important rank in the United States Army, rating practically next to a colonel. And the fact of the matter is, if not for me, Paris would still be in the Heine's hands because I planned the whole campaign, including Normandy. And I'm what you call a hero, only I left my medals on the other suit, so will you please take a little walk with me in the park?
Qu'est-ce que vous dites?
Look, baby, I only got an 8-hour pass. I haven't got a minute's time to waste. Love. You know what love is? It's spring. The birds. Don't you get it? I love you. I adore you. Amour. Oh, nuts.
Amour?
You got it, baby. You got it. Look, beautiful. I only got an 8-hour pass, and it's 15 minutes gone already, so will you concentrate? You and me, together. France and America. International goodwill, it says in the handbook. Amour. Oh, criminy. Don't sit there just looking at me. I only got an 8-hour pass, and it's 18 minutes gone. And... Don't you get it? Kiss. Yeah, like this.
Pour qui me prenez-vous? À m'embrasser comme ça? Est-ce qu'il faut que j'embrasse tous les Américains en France? Allez-vous-en, mon petit garçon, allez-vous-en!
Okay. I know what that means in any language. Me, I only got an 8-hour pass, and I got no time to waste. Bonjour, amour.
Definition. Love. Pronounced, you know. Love is the amusement of the busy man.
Hello, operator. Why don't you stay on the line and attend to business? Get me Park 6432. Yes, Park 6432. And don't forget my Washington call. Inefficiency. Hello, get me Mr. Cameron. Mr. Cameron? Oh, don't argue with me. He's expecting my call. Oh, this isn't? Wrong number? Oh, I see. I beg your pardon. Oh, you're really very kind. Oh, yes, you are. Here I bother you with the wrong number, and you are kind. Yes, I know how it is. Listen, do you mind if I'm presumptuous and tell you that your voice... Are you from the theater? No, I'm serious. Has anyone told you that you have a lovely speaking voice? Oh, yes, you have. Oh, yes, you have. No, I'm just another businessman. Well, now, it's amazing how attracted a man can be to a voice. I certainly do wish we had television already. I mean, by the telephone, so to speak. Are you really? Well, there's nothing like being comfortable. There you are, comfortable as Harry. And here I am stuck in this old office. Yes. What's your favorite drink? Well, what do you know? That's mine, too. You know, I owe you a drink. Oh, yes, I do. After the way I bothered you with the wrong number, what do you say I buy you that drink? Well, what do you say about this afternoon? Oh, come ahead. Now, listen, I'm a judge of character, and I know that just from your voice, Oh, come on. Well, there's really no reason you shouldn't. Well, what's that, operator? My Washington call? Certainly. Hello, miss. I really have to go now. Business call, Washington. If you ever need some corrugated boxes, just give me a ring. Yes. Hello, operator. Put that Washington call through. Well, what are you waiting for? The traffic light?
Definition. Love. Pronounced as usual. A term used in some games to signify that one side has nothing and the other side has won a certain number of games.
That one side has nothing and the other side has won a certain number of games. I know what you mean.
Wir haben gesiegt. Nach Moskau. Ja, I heard it over the wireless. Our armies have entered Moscow. Oh, unser geliebter Führer. How I love him. Such triumph. Did you see the beautiful things Hans sent me from Poland? A tablecloth. Such beautiful lace work. And the children's clothes. Who cares? Ich frage nicht woher. That Hans, he takes what you want. Oh, yes. Today I got a letter from the Labor Bureau. They are sending me 2 strong Slovakian girls to help me on the farm. Oh, no. All I pay is the license fee and then they are mine. Oh, they'll work all right. If they want to eat, they'll work. Der geliebte Führer. How I love him. What a wonderful life he's giving us. The Führer has said it. We will make of all Europe a workhouse. And so our fatherland will be a playground. Oh, that Adolf. How I love him. How I love him.
Yes. But when the other side has won a certain number of games.
Wirklich, ich spreche die Wahrheit. I tell you the truth, mein Herr. I love only peace and freedom. As the wife of Hans Müller, who fought in this war only because they made him do it, I speak from my heart when I say that I welcome you, not as conquerors, but as liberators. That Hitler, piss! I spit on his grave. Now we are free from him and his Nazis. We in this village were never Nazis. We are Germans. The girls sick in my barn? No, they were not slaves. I was hiding them from the SS. I'm a German, not a Nazi. I love only peace. I ask only to be understood and to be given justice. A Nazi? Who? Me?
definition. Love. Pronounced exactly the same. To have a predilection or tendency to thrive in a certain place, atmosphere, and so forth.
To have a predilection or tendency to thrive in a certain atmosphere. Yes. I met that lover at a bar last night. A very expensive bar.
Have a drink, friend. Have a drink. Joe, another double scotch out of my private bottle.
Coming up, Mr. Allen.
You've arrived at the most interesting point of my conversation. I was just telling these other gentlemen and club members that it is my firm belief, and I proved it fairly successfully, if I do say so, that every human action must be based upon the fundamental. When it comes to liquor, a mixed drink must be based upon a fundamental good liquor. When it comes to investments, real estate, if the basis of the investment is fundamentally sound...
Here's your drink, sir.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you. Fundamental. San Francisco. Those security conference delegates better pay attention to their fundamentals, or they'll all be taken for a little ride, and I don't mean by cable car. Hello there, Clarkson. Going to be at the dividend meeting? Fine. Now then, what was I talking about? Oh, yes, fundamentals. The fundamental issue being overlooked, to my way of thinking, in this entire matter of post-war planning is that employment and unemployment are two commodities. It's all very well to talk about a chicken in every plastic pot, but in fact, if you'll pardon the expression, I'd love to have someone tell me how in the devil we are going to get any place if the fundamental principles of a labor pool is overlooked. Yes, sir. I say the only way that prosperity can thrive, real prosperity, is always to have a big pool of unemployed to draw on. That keeps everything in reason. As long as there's a few millions unemployed wandering around, it keeps everything in reason. That's the proper atmosphere for a good return. In fact, gentlemen, it's a fundamental. Oh, Joe, another double scotch out of my private bottle.
Our final definition. Love. Always pronounced love. Definition. The affection growing out of the mutuality of tastes and interests and long association of husband and wife.
Home. In a few moments, I'll be home. No, there won't be any bands at the station. I'm too late for the bands. Thank heaven for that.
Colonel James Carroll, DSC, returned home from the wars this morning.
Will the paper say that?
The colonel was formerly with Barton and Company, investment counselors.
Investment counselors. What counsel have you for yourself, Colonel? You've been sitting in this railroad car for 12 hours and you've got that cold, frightened feeling inside you as if you were going into battle. Helen, that's crazy, isn't it? I'm coming home to you. I've wanted that for 3 years. Why should I feel this way?
Dear Jim, my job is terribly exciting.
Your job.
And incidentally, very profitable.
Profitable.
Dear Jim, my job is... Dear Jim, my job is... Dear Jim, my job
Your
is...
job. That's it, Helen. For 3 years, you've held the reins. But you want to give them up now. You've learned to do without me. Make a living without me. What about now?
We'll meet you at the station. All my love.
Oh, my love. Will you say you love me because I'm so weary, and in your kindness you'll remember all the years of my loneliness?
Goodbye, Jim. Win the war and hurry back to me.
When I went away, you said that. But I didn't hurry back. I couldn't hurry back. I want you so very much, but...
Your orders, Colonel. Your orders, Colonel.
I couldn't hurry back.
Hello, Jim. Hello, Jim.
No, it's not your first words I'm afraid of, Helen. It's the look on your face. What will I see there?
Home. In a few moments, he'll be home.
Arriving 10 a.m. Central Station. Hope you can meet me.
Jim, for 3 years I've waited for that wire. And it's in my hand now. And I'm at the station. My face. Mirror. I look frightened. Why should I be frightened?
Honolulu, Sydney, Chongqing, Bombay, Iran, Cairo, Tripoli, Alexandria, Naples.
We've been so many places, Jim. All the places we once were going to go together.
Today I flew over the top of the world. Tomorrow I'll be aboard a destroyer headed for my new post. Yesterday by jeep and camel I arrived.
3 years of travel, excitement, such eventful years. And Jim, will you want this now? Our street, our house, our little life.
Hope you can meet me.
Will you want me? I'm older, Jim. In my letters I tried to make them full and exciting. But they've been hard years. Yes, I'm older, Jim.
Older, Helen. Older.
Track
older.
train!
Older.
Track train!
Oh, Jim,
coming
that's
in!
your train.
Track train!
I'm afraid. Jim, I'm here. Here, Jim.
Helen! Helen!
Jim.
Oh, Helen.
Oh, darling, darling.
Let me look at you.
Oh, no, the people.
The devil with the people. 3 years. I've waited to hold you like this for 3 years.
Oh, Jim, you're so thin.
You're so beautiful. Just as beautiful.
Jim, I love you more.
Do you? Do you really?
Yes, yes. Oh, hurry, Jim. Away from here.
You're late. Your job.
Job. Who cares about that? Jim, were you afraid to come back? I mean, after all these years to just this?
Helen, I'm home. To work. To be with you. I love you. What was there to be afraid of?
Yes. What was there to be afraid of?
You have just heard Arch Oboler's original play, Love, Love, Love. The original musical score was composed and conducted by David Raxin. The cast, in the order of their appearance, were Raymond Lawrence, Bruce Elliott, Kathy Lewis, Trudy Marson, Lurene Tuttle, Jane Morgan, Carlton Young, Irene Tedrow, Betty Rubin, Nanette Ballon, Lou Merrill, Lisa Golm, Joseph Granby, Frank Martin, and Roseanne Murray. Carlton Young is featured in the forthcoming Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production, Thrill of a Romance. Next week, we will bring you Mr. Oboler's original play, Holiday 1940X, a drama which tells the story of an American family on the first passenger ship, post-war, headed for Europe. This will be the fifth in a special series of plays written, produced, and directed for the Mutual Broadcasting System by Arch Oboler. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
And now, stay tuned for the mystery program that is unique among all mystery programs. Because even when you know who's guilty, you always receive a startling surprise at the final curtain. In The Whistler.
I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak. Yes, friends, it's time for The Whistler, rated by independent research the most popular West Coast program in radio history. And now, The Whistler's strange story. Alias, Mr. Alden. The big transport plane banked sharply, planed in towards the approach leg to the airport outside Singapore. Lynn Blakesley moved her veil aside slightly, looked out as the ship came into land, and taxied quickly up to the unloading gate. The young man sitting across from her could see that she was young, very attractive. But from his haste in disembarking and making his way through customs, it didn't appear that he was concentrating on lonesome young ladies. Not at the moment. Lynn Blakesley, however, seemed more than mildly interested in keeping the young man in view. Outside the airport, she managed to capture a cab immediately in back of his, follow him to the Port Royal Hotel, where she stood only a few feet away as he put down his portable typewriter case and spoke to the desk clerk.
My name is Alden. You have a reservation for me, room 409?
Room 409? I'm sorry, Mr. Alden. It's occupied at the moment. I have very similar accommodations, however. Room 302...
I'm not interested in similar accommodations. I want that room. I wired you last night.
If you please, sir. I'm fully aware that you wired, but since the room is presently occupied...
Okay. I'm just tired. I guess I didn't mean to jump at you. I want the room for sentimental reasons. My wife and I,
I understand, sir, but if you could take 302 until...
Sure, 302. But look, you will let me know.
The moment Mrs. Anhalt vacates the room, sir, it should be soon.
Thank you.
The boy will take your bag. Front boy. Yes, miss?
We're just visiting, thank you.
You wish me to announce you?
Well, no. No, I'll use the house phone.
As you wish. They're just over there, ma'am, by the lift.
Thank you.
You're not really interested in the location of the house phones, are you, Lynn? You move off. Watch the annoyed young man taking the elevator up to the 3rd floor. You wait. Pretend to use the house phone. Then take the next elevator to the 4th floor. And a few moments later...
Yes, what is it? And who are you, young woman? I don't believe I know you.
Mrs. Anhalt, I hope you won't be angry with me.
You know my name. Where did
the desk clerk, ma'am, I overheard. I took the liberty of coming up here to talk to you myself.
About what?
Well, this room, ma'am. I was wondering if you'd let me know when you plan to check out. It's for sentimental reasons, Mrs. Anhalt. I mean that I want to stay in this room again.
Sentimental reasons?
My late husband... You see, we shared this room when we were first married. He's gone now.
Oh, poor child. Now you come right in here and tell me all about it.
I do hate to intrude like this, but if you really don't mind... My name is Lynn, Mrs. Anhalt.
You're not intruding at all, Lynn, dear. Do come in and tell me all about it, and don't you worry. We'll work something out.
You're so kind, Mrs. Anhalt.
Call me Aunt Sarah.
All right, Aunt Sarah.
That's better. You poor dear child.
But, Mrs. Anhalt, you had no right letting this young lady move her baggage into your room before checking out, and without even consulting at the desk.
There's no harm done. I'm checking out right now. And if you don't stop carrying on, I'll just stop elsewhere in the future.
Oh, I'm sorry to cause trouble, but you see,
The room was reserved, ma'am, by Mr. Alden. He'll be very upset. Might even report me to the manager. Oh, dear. Here's Mr. Alden now.
I'll speak to him, clerk.
Oh, I've caused so much trouble, Miss Anholt.
Never you mind, child. I'm enjoying this. Young man, I suppose you're here to ask about the room you reserved?
Well, the clerk said he'd notify me. However, if you're the lady who's checking out,
I've just checked out, and this young lady is checking in.
Oh, well, wait a minute.
Mr. Alden, I'm sorry. Believe me, I haven't agreed to this. I haven't agreed to it at all.
Well, then there's nothing to do but see the manager. After all, I did wire. Look, miss, I don't see why that particular...
Oh, stop that, young man. How dare you interrogate Miss Blakesley?
Interrogate Miss Blakesley?
Lynn, dear, it's going to be all right. We will see the manager, all of us. After all, I'd like to know exactly why this young man has to have that particular room.
Well, I was only going to stay one night.
Ladies, please. You're creating a scene. The other guests, sir, could I possibly ask you...
What have you got hidden in that room, young man? The crown jewels? Perhaps we should advise the house detective.
Please, Mrs. Anholt.
Oh, now, look, this is getting ridiculous.
I quite agree.
If the young lady only wishes the room for the night,
that's all. Really?
Well, I'm comfortable where I am. I suppose I could...
There, you see, clerk, no trouble at all. It's all settled and in the manner of ladies and gentlemen. A little chat, and everyone's satisfied.
Mr. Alden, you're certain...
Oh, it's quite all right. After all, one more night doesn't make much difference.
Come along, my dear. Once you're in, you can stay as long as you wish. I've learned that. I knew we would have no trouble.
Oh, you're very kind, Mrs. Anholt. Very kind and most helpful.
You've accomplished it, haven't you, Lynn? The all-important room is yours for 24 hours. And you're no sooner inside than you go to work, examining the room inch by inch, searching and wondering, until your eyes center on the slowly revolving fan blades above your head. You turn the fan off at the wall switch and get up on a chair. And then you smile. You've found what you're looking for, haven't you, Lynn? In the least likely place. A long, thin key, fastened on the top side of one of the fan blades with adhesive tape. You remove it, put it in your purse, and go downstairs.
Oh, no. Yes, miss, something wrong?
Well, I'm checking out.
You're what?
Checking out.
That's what I thought you said. Very well, miss. I'll call the boy. Have your luggage brought down.
Thank you. Now, I hope I haven't been too much bother.
Oh, no. Also in the day's work. The guests must be served. Boy, the ladies' back's room 409.
Would you recommend another hotel?
Delighted.
Well, I mean, it isn't that I don't like it here. Well, the memories. I thought they'd be pleasant.
Perfectly all right. I have a few unpleasant memories myself. I suggest a sequemer 3 blocks down.
Well, thank you.
Oh, there's Mr. Alden. Oh, Mr. Alden.
Yes?
Your room, sir. 409. The one you wanted.
What about it?
You won't believe this, but I have it for you. Here's your key.
Oh, but this young lady, Miss Blakesley?
Yes, Miss Blakesley has changed her mind. The room suggests unpleasant memories.
Well, I really don't mean to infer that...
It's all right, ma'am. We all understand, and we bow to a woman's prerogative to change her mind.
I hope you're not angry with me, Mr. Alden.
Not at all.
The room must have meant something to you, too.
Oh, nothing important, really. However, thank you.
Not at all.
Well, good night.
Good night. Nice, isn't he?
Very. And patient.
Most patient.
And now back to the Whistler.
well, isn't it, Lynn? And you have the key in your pocketbook to a small fortune now. And not once did the young man, traveling under the name of Alan Alden, whose real name you know is Lee Rainey, not once did he suspect you'd followed him across half a continent to Singapore. But that isn't your concern at this moment. Now your objective is to gain access to the safety deposit box, which can be opened by the key you've managed to obtain ahead of Mr. Rainey, alias Mr. Alden. That's what brings you to a bank in Singapore, where you attempt a bluff you know has little chance of success, but is the only move you can make until you think of something else. You pose as secretary to Mr. Alan Alden, news correspondent. The bank manager, however, isn't at all cooperative.
I'm sorry, miss. I've no doubt that you are Mr. Alden's secretary if you say so. But you see...
I only see that you're being very unreasonable. I've told you Mr. Alden can't make it here himself. But there's some things he wants in the safe deposit box.
And again, I say, miss, he'll have to come here himself and prove his identity. We have a copy of his signature, of course. I'm sorry, miss. Really...
Well, you're not sorry at all. Oh... All right, I'll call him. I'll tell him what you said.
If you wish to use our telephone...
Never mind.
As you wish.
You turn away, wondering about your next move as you start out of the bank. A glance towards the window causes you to draw back, doesn't it, Lynn? Yes, because standing in a doorway across the street is the last person you want to see right now, Lee Rainey. You can't face him with the key in your possession. Frantically, you look around, catch sight of your rickshaw boy waiting at the bank entrance. You motion him over, hand him the key, tell him to deliver it to your new hotel. Only after he's gone do you venture out into the street. Almost immediately, Lee Rainey falls into step beside you.
Morning, Miss Blakely. Or should I call you Lynn?
Oh, Mr. Alden. Or rather, Mr. Rainey.
You're pretty clever. What's your little game, sweetheart?
Game?
Yeah, have any luck in there?
Luck?
Oh, come off it, will you? I mean about getting into the safety deposit box.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that. I needn't have asked, I suppose. Now, only Alan Alden can get into that box.
Alan Alden is dead.
Is he?
Yes. And you killed him. You see, I knew him quite well.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid you're a bit confused, sweetheart. You see, I'm Alan Alden, newspaper correspondent. I've got my typewriter to prove it.
And Alden's credentials. Identification papers, too.
All we need to get into that safety deposit box, Lynn.
We, Mr. Rainey?
Partnership, sweetheart. Don't tell me the idea never occurred to you.
Well, as a matter of fact, it has.
You have the key?
Not with me, so if you're thinking of...
Violence? Perish the thought.
A smart boy.
As I was saying, you have the key and I have the identification, and I can write his signature as well as he could. Now, what do you say?
I'd like to know a little bit more about all this, Mr. Rainey. For example, how much is in that safe deposit box?
20.
And what's it for?
Alden pulled a big deal for a crooked syndicate. And they set up the safety deposit box for him and left the payoff money there.
I see.
Now, all I have to do is show up at the bank, fake his signature, and present the proper credentials.
And the key. That's very important, isn't it?
Very. Well, is it a deal?
I'll have to think it over.
Oh, now, really, I'm not too hard to get along with? I've got an idea that we can...
I know, make beautiful music. You know.
Yeah, well, I was going to be more original.
No?
But now that you mention it, I'll bet we could. Hey, tell me, don't you think I have the shoulders for a harp?
Oh, sure. And I've just the chin for a violin. I'm still going to have to think it over.
Don't take too long, Lynn. Alden's newspaper's expecting him to file another story very soon, and frankly, I'm not much of a writer.
I'll give you my answer this afternoon.
There's a small bar not far from the bank, Chang's. You know it?
I'll find it.
I'll be there. 2:00.
It's the only way, isn't it, Lynn? You've got to team up with Lee Rainey. But you must also move cautiously because you don't trust him. Yes, you want time to think it over carefully before you give the key to him. You wait till Lee turns the corner, then start after him. You want to see where he goes, don't you, Rick? See who he talks to. And you follow him to a small shop where he leaves his portable typewriter. You're still close behind him as he strolls through the business district. Then shortly before noon, luck runs against you, and you lose him in the crowd.
Sorry I'm late, sweetheart.
Only a few minutes, you're forgiven.
Buy you a drink?
Oh, thanks, no, I'm not finished with this one.
Made up your mind yet?
Yes. We're partners, Len and Lee.
Oh, that's really good news. Really calls for a drink,
No, we
huh?
can save the celebrating if you don't mind. I'll feel better when we're counting the money.
Oh, and you're going to feel so good, sweetheart, because it's so much.
Keep talking, partner. I love every word.
Well, I can go on like this for hours.
Lee,
Yeah.
we don't have much time, do we? The bank will close soon.
Yeah, right you are. Shall we go, partner?
A short time later, you arrive at the bank. Wait in the rickshaw while Lee Rainey, alias Mr. Alan Alden, goes inside. 5 minutes go by, then 10. You become increasingly nervous, wonder if something's gone wrong. Finally, you hurry into the bank. Find it almost deserted, but you quickly seek out the manager.
Good afternoon, miss. Mr. Alden's secretary.
Yes, Mr. Alden came in here some time ago.
Yes, he did. I told him you'd been here earlier. I explained to him why I couldn't let you into the safety deposit box.
What did he say?
Oh, he said it was quite all right. He just left.
Are you sure?
Oh, of course. I let him out the side door a few minutes ago.
Side door. I see.
Was there something else, miss? Did he forget something?
No. Nothing.
I'm sorry you missed him.
So am I.
He slipped away from you, hasn't he, Lynn? Yes. He must have gotten the money from the safety deposit box and taken it with him. You hurry back outside to the rickshaw, and then realize you don't even know where to look for Rainey, do you? As your rickshaw boy takes up the slow trot, and you move down the Singapore street, you lean back and close your eyes. It's only for an instant, because suddenly you remember something, don't you? You lean forward again and shout to the rickshaw boy. Yes, a slim chance, Lynn, but well worth the try.
What can I do for you, miss?
I'm Alan Alden's secretary. He left a typewriter here this morning, I believe.
Oh, that's right. I got it right here. All fixed up, neat and proper like she is. New roller and all.
Good. He's anxious to have it back. You'll deliver it, of course.
Well, now, we don't have a regular delivery service.
Well, Mr. Alden will pay you for your trouble.
I see to it, miss. Now, let's take a look at the tag here. Oh, yes. That's the Grayton Hotel, isn't it?
That's right. The Grayton Hotel. When will it be delivered?
Oh, first thing in the morning, miss.
Oh, not before then, dear me. That does make it rather awkward. Perhaps I'd better take it with me now.
As you wish, miss.
Just a minute. Yes, what? Oh, Lynn.
Hello, Lee. Darling.
How did you... Oh, of course, the typewriter.
All fixed up neat and proper like she is. New roller and all. Here we are.
Thank you.
May I come in?
How can I refuse so charming a young lady? Especially when she's holding a gun. Yes, do come in.
Thank you. You shouldn't have tried to double-cross me, Lee.
Now I want all the money.
Double-cross you, darling? Oh, really now?
Where is it?
In a nice, safe place.
And you're going to tell me where that nice, safe place is,
Of course I am. The bank.
The bank?
Yeah. I opened an account there as soon as I emptied the safety deposit box.
I see.
Now, look, sweetheart, you've got me all
Stay
right.
where you are.
Okay. Take it easy. Let me explain, will you? I didn't try to double-cross you.
Oh, of course you didn't. You simply forgot that I was waiting out in front of the bank.
No, but there was somebody else waiting out there.
Oh?
Yeah, a short, heavy-set man in a white suit. I've seen him before, and I'm sure he's with the police.
Oh, really?
That's why I ducked out the side entrance and came back here. I was going to phone you.
Oh, of course you were.
Oh, now, Lynn, you've got to believe me. I'm telling the truth.
Are you? All right. Then we're still partners.
Still partners, sweetheart.
Well, then I want half the money. Of course, the bank is closed now, but you could write me a check.
I'd be glad to.
Careful.
I was only reaching for my checkbook, darling. There was no cause for alarm.
Oh, you're going to write it on the typewriter.
Yeah, then all I have to write in longhand is his signature. I've practiced it 1,000 times.
You've got it all thought out, haven't you?
Yeah, let's see. Here's the order of Lynnblakeslee.
Forget it, Lee. I said forget it. Take that check. I'm not falling for that story of yours.
What do you mean?
There wasn't anyone in a white suit waiting outside that bank. You slipped out the side entrance to get away from me.
Oh, now, Lynn,
So you
don't...
deposited the money in the bank, did you?
Of course I did.
Well, then you must have a bank book.
Bank book? Sure.
Well, where is it?
Well, let me see. It's around here somewhere. Oh, yes, in my suitcase there. I'll get it.
Never mind. I'll get it. You stay where you are.
Oh, but sweetheart,
Stay where you are. I don't see a bank book here, but I do see a 45. Is what you were after, Lee?
Oh, now look, Lynn.
I am looking. And I see scads and scads of money in this suitcase. Crisp new bills. How nice, how very nice they look.
Okay, baby, you win. Take it.
I will.
No hard feelings, huh? I tried and I missed. I'll bow out.
Of course. You bow out. Rather permanently, I'm afraid.
Now, wait a minute.
I just wouldn't feel safe with all this money if you were still in circulation. I'm sorry, Lee, but as soon as it gets dark, we're going to take a walk down to the docks. I've got to catch a boat.
Len, listen
and
to me.
you're going to catch a very bad cold, darling. In the bay.
The Whistler will return in just a moment with the strange ending to tonight's story.
Now back to the Whistler.
It's all over, isn't it, Lynn? Yes, Lee Rainey is dead. His body floating out in the darkness of the Singapore Bay. And the money. Alan Alden's payoff money is all yours now, safely tucked away in your suitcase. You arrange passage aboard a freighter bound for Java. Clear your papers through the port authorities. And a few minutes before sailing time, you're in your cabin aboard ship. When there's a knock on the door.
Come in.
Miss Blakesley? Lynn Blakesley?
Why, yes.
My name's McGregor. Singapore Police.
Police? Well, what's wrong?
You acquainted with Alan Alden, miss?
Alden? Well, the name sounds familiar. Oh, yes, a news correspondent, I believe. No, I've never met him.
I see.
Why, what is it, officer?
A man with identification papers of Alan Alden was found in the bay a couple of hours ago. He'd been murdered.
Murdered? How horrible.
A woman was seen leaving Alden's hotel with him earlier this evening. Her description fits you perfectly.
Oh, now, see here, officer. There are hundreds of women in Singapore who could fit
I
my
know.
Well, then why pick on me? I told you I didn't know Alan Alden.
Because we believe he named his killer for us.
What? Named his killer?
Yes. You see, we found a typewriter in his room. A typewriter with a brand new roller. And on that roller was printed a name. Lynn Blakesley. Just as clear as if it was typed on paper.
Typewriter?
Yes, miss. If you didn't know him and hadn't been with him, what possible reason would we have for typing your name?
Well, I just don't know.
We don't know either. But I have a hunch we will after we search you and examine your luggage.
Broadcast rights granted solely to Audio Arts Productions, La Mirada, California.
The Mummers in the Little Theater of the Air.
Now, it's time for the Hermit.
Ghost stories. Weird stories. Murders, too. The hermit knows of them all. Turn out your lights. Turn them out. Have you heard the story? It happened on Sunday. Eh? Then listen while the hermit tells you the story.
Yes?
Your cousin, Viola Straight, is here to see you, Mr. Straight.
Viola. Swell. Send her right in.
Yes, Mr. Straight.
That's a coincidence. Just about to call her. Hello, Vi.
Hello, dear.
Here, take this chair. Most comfortable one in the office. You know, I was just saying to myself, this is a coincidence. I was just going to call you.
Were you?
Yes. Raymond just called me about 20 minutes ago.
He did?
Yeah.
Well, this is more of a coincidence than you thought, because I came up to talk about Ray.
Well, what do you know about that?
I just had to talk with someone. And, of course, Dave, you were the logical person. He's your closest friend. You introduced us a year ago.
Which should give me the right to be best man at your wedding, don't you think?
If there is any wedding.
Hmm?
Oh, Dave, there's something terribly wrong with Raymond these last 3 weeks. He isn't the same person.
Vi, haven't I told you before? When he gets one of these painting streaks of his, he isn't like other people. He always goes out to his studio cottage and refuses to see any of his friends.
I know those moods, but this is different.
In what way?
I don't know where to begin to tell you. I've been so upset. It's so baffling. It all started 3 weeks ago. Monday night, Ray and I were having dinner at Meadow Lane Inn. You know that place, about 4 miles from his cottage?
Oh, sure.
Well, we'd driven out to the cottage in the afternoon. Ray was going to pick up some canvases he had out there. The housekeeper...
Mrs. Orion, you mean?
Yes. Well, she and her husband hadn't expected Ray to call that day, and they were house cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go into the living room. I stood in the hallway, and I heard Ray tell Mrs. Orion to burn that big oil painting he made of his wife, just a few months before she died.
You heard him tell her to burn it?
Yes. He said it upset him so every time he came out and looked at it. He didn't mention it when we got in the car and drove to the inn. Then, while we were eating, he scarcely spoke to me. So while we were having our coffee, I decided to break the silence.
I overheard what you said to your housekeeper while we were at the cottage. I wasn't supposed to, I know.
What are you referring to, Vi?
About burning that lovely painting.
Oh, I see.
You weren't going to do it because of me, because you thought it might annoy me?
No.
Then why destroy it, Ray?
I think it's best. Marion belongs to a dead past.
You can't kill memories.
No, that's true.
Ray, I don't know how to say this exactly, but perhaps you shouldn't marry me in August. Maybe you aren't ready to marry anyone yet. After all, it'll only be 3 years this month. I know how much you mourned, how much you loved her.
Why? Let's not talk about it anymore. Our plans are all made. Believe me, it's best for you to forget all that you heard me say to Mrs. Orion. Please, let's not mention it again.
Naturally, I said nothing more. But from that night, Raymond seemed to change. Evenings when we've gone out, he's silent, almost morose. He doesn't seem to be aware that I'm in his presence. Then, Monday of this week, he called to say he was going out to the cottage. But he didn't say when he would see me again. He didn't invite me to drive out there. It was almost as if he was saying goodbye for good.
That's strange.
You say he just called you?
Yes.
Did he have anything to say about him and me?
No, he didn't, Vi. But he was very upset. He asked me how busy I was, and then he said, Dave, you've got to come out here no matter how busy you are. I want you to come out and stay the rest of the week.
What can be the matter?
I don't know. Isn't like Ray, I'll admit.
Are you going out?
Tomorrow. Told him I had some work that I couldn't leave until tomorrow afternoon.
Oh.
I'll tell you what. Tomorrow's Friday. You can drive out Saturday afternoon.
Oh, but Dave, if he doesn't want me to be...
Oh, nonsense. You come out. I won't tell him. We'll rig up a surprise party. Whatever's eating him, you'll get it off his chest Friday night. By the time you get there, he'll be straightened around.
I hope so.
Will you come?
Yes, if you think it's all right. I don't have to tell you how much I think of Ray. I'll do anything to help him. And although it would break my heart if he decides it's best for him not to marry me, I'll respect his wishes.
Forget that angle.
He loved Marion very much, didn't he?
None of us saw anything of her or Ray while she lived, but I suppose he did.
You know it. He never left her side. He allowed her to stay in the cottage while he painted. They were inseparable companions for 7 years. You can't forget anything like that in 3. No. Why did I have to meet him? Why did I have to fall in love with him?
Vi, you're creating unnecessary mountains. Now, I don't know what's wrong, but I know it isn't anything to fret about. So stop worrying and come out Saturday afternoon ready to have a good time. You'll see. Everything will be straightened out. Well, Mrs. Orion, it's nice to see you again.
I'm glad to see you, Mr. Street.
Now, where's this guy who dragged me away from a busy office on Friday afternoon?
He's up in the studio. He said to tell you when you're painting to come right up there.
Fine. I thought when he called me yesterday that he might be ill.
Oh, no, Mr. Street. It's not any physical illness he's got. It's something mental.
So, well, just exactly what do you mean?
I can't say any more. I shouldn't have said what I have. But if you're his friend, Mr. Street, you'll urge him to get away from the cottage this weekend.
Well, how...
Now, please don't ask me any questions, Mr. Street. I can't say another thing. And don't mention to him what I have said.
No, of course not.
Just remember, Mr. Putnam isn't himself, not at all. And he needs you. He needs your help and friendship.
He has both, Mrs. Orion.
You know how I feel about him. At times, it seems like he's my son. I've taken care of him ever since his parents died all these years since.
I know how you feel.
And yet I'm just his housekeeper. I have to remember that. Now, shall I take you up to the studio?
No, thanks. I'll burst in and surprise him. See you later, Mrs. Orion. Believe me, I'm looking forward to one of your good dinners.
Come in.
How are you, Ray?
Hello, Dave. I'm glad you came.
Gosh, I thought from the urgency of your invitation that you wanted me to come out and pose for a painting. I've often wondered why you never saw anything worthwhile in this mug of mine. Yeah, what's wrong, Ray? Just no go?
There's nothing wrong. I invited you down because you haven't visited me for a long time. That's all.
Okay, Ray. Been doing some work?
No.
It's a doggone shame that you came into so much money you don't have to paint for a livelihood. You've done some mighty fine things. Now, listen, you can't walk the floor this way and still insist there's nothing wrong. Well, why keep it all to yourself? Why not get it off your chest? You invited me down here for a purpose. Look, we've been friends for years. I'm the logical person for you to confide in. Now, come on, stop walking this room like a lion in a cage. Listen to me. Is it Vi? Have you found you don't care for her?
No.
Is it something about your health?
No.
Well, then, it can't be anything very serious.
If you're my friend, don't ask me any more questions. If you want to know why I invited you down here, it's because I don't want to be alone. I want you here.
Your wish is granted. Now, what do you say we have a stroll around the grounds and then urge Mrs. Orion to serve dinner early, Come start.
Dave, we can't leave the studio. You've got to eat here with me. We'll sleep here tonight. You see, I've had Mrs. Orion bring 2 cots in here. You've got to stay right here in this room with me. Now, wait, don't ask me why. Just give in to this whim of mine, or whatever you want to call it.
You have me baffled, I'll admit.
Maybe someday I can explain. If I ever do, then remember this episode is between you and me, never to be mentioned to anyone else. Now, let's settle down.
$12. Guess I'll roll up in my bunk, Ray. You ought to do the same.
Go ahead if you're sleepy.
I am. Wish I could persuade you to have a game of golf with me in the morning.
I will in a few days.
Well, what's wrong with tomorrow?
You heard what I said. I'm not leaving the studio until Sunday morning.
So that's that. Well, I'll be talking to you in the morning. Seems a doggone shame to sleep on an old cot like this when this house is filled with good beds. You turned out to be a heck of a host. Yeah. Good night.
Good night. Dave. Did you hear it? Someone laughing. Someone laughing as if they were right outside the windows of the studio. No one can get in these windows. They're all locked.
Hey, what is this? As if anyone would put up a fireman's ladder to try to climb in this third-floor studio.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I hope you do. Maybe you're expecting someone to drop in through the skylight.
Listen. Did you hear it?
Oh, sure. Someone at the door. Well, get on my robe before you let them in.
What? No one here. You heard the knocking on the door, but you see there's no one here. Mrs. Orion was right. What she told me is true. She came back last year at the same time and the year before. She won't rest in her grave. Mrs. Orion was right. She does come back.
This business has to be cleared up once and for all. Here, Mrs. Orion, you sit here in this chair.
Thank you, Mr. Street.
Supposing you sit here.
Sure.
Hate to get you 2 good folks out of your beds at 1 o'clock in the morning, but I want this crazy business cleared up.
My wife and I don't mind, Mr. Straight.
Oh, we don't mind at all. Anything we can do to help Mr. Putnam.
There's nothing anyone can do.
I want the whole of this story. Now, Mrs. Orion, Ray tells me that for the past 2 years since Miriam died, that you people think she has walked about in this house each year on the eve of the night she died.
Oh, yes, Mr. Straight. Pete and I heard the walking up in the studio.
We heard something, all right. Got up to investigate, but we didn't see anybody.
Of course you didn't. You know that there's no possibility of such a thing being true. Mrs. Orion, just this afternoon you told me how much you thought of Ray. Well, if that's so, why in thunder would you tell him such yarns?
He made me tell him. I didn't want to. I tried to convince myself there wasn't anything to it. But we did hear walking up in the studio, and we heard her laughing just like she used to do. Mr. Putnam, he made me listen on the night last year and the year before and report to him.
Ray, what made you think Miriam's spirit would come back to haunt this house?
Because she said she would, just before she died.
Well, of all the... Now, come on. Suppose you tell me the whole of this wild tale,
You might as well know it all, Mrs. Orion.
Well, that's what I say.
I was a coward. I stayed away from the cottage last year and the year before at this time. These days are the anniversary of her death. I was afraid of a threat.
Well, go on, Ray.
No one but Pete and Mrs. Orion knew what Marion was like. She was insane, Dave, but I never let anyone know it. I never let her out of my sight. What I'm saying is true, isn't it, Mrs. Orion?
Oh, the poor boy put up with more than anyone will ever know.
She used to stand here in the studio when I'd be painting and laugh, just as she did tonight. Creep up behind me as I worked. What? Miriam, you frightened me.
Sure. You're always afraid of me. Afraid that I will kill you.
Miriam, where'd you get that knife?
Out of the kitchen. Mrs. Orion never saw me take it.
Give it to me, Miriam.
I'm going to kill you with it. Just like I'm going to slash your picture to threads right now.
Miriam, don't. Miriam, wait.
Your horrible old pictures. No one wants to buy them. None of them are any good. None of them are any good. Why don't you paint me? You paint everything and everybody but me. You don't paint me because you want to spite me. I know it.
I'd intended to paint her for a long time. I tried to, but she wouldn't sit for me. And when she did, it was always to annoy me. She'd sit and grimace, laugh. I should have put her in an institution, but I couldn't bear the thought of that. She was beautiful, frail. I was afraid of the treatment they might give her. So I kept her near me all the time. Mrs. Orion and Pete were frightened, but they stayed on for my sake. Finally, I decided to paint Miriam even though she wouldn't sit for me. This seemed to mollify her somewhat.
Oh, she was much easier to handle those last few months.
Almost friendly-like.
That was because she was growing weaker, though we didn't know it. You see, I'd never called in a doctor for fear he would judge her insane. And then that last night, as Mrs. Orion and I stood by her bed, she raised up, looked at me wildly.
I'll come back every year at the same time. Do you understand what I say? I'll come back every year until I have my revenge. We heard what she said, Mr. Straight. But I told Mr. Putnam not to worry over it none. She was always saying crazy things.
I did forget it for a little time after she was gone. But 2 years ago, and then last year, as the time of the anniversary of her death drew near, her threat bothered me. I wouldn't come near the studio. Pete and Mrs. Orion watched for me. They heard her. And then this year I realized that I couldn't marry Vi until I was sure in my own mind. Until I'd stayed here myself. And then tonight I did hear her laugh. It was as distinct as if she were alive. So there's only one thing to do. Tomorrow at midnight, if I hear a knock at this door, even though I see no one, I'll use my revolver. I'll fire at her unseen spirit standing at the door of this studio.
An unseen spirit, a visitor at midnight. Will she return again? Will she make a threat come true? The hermit will tell you before the night is done.
Now the hermit again.
It is nearing the hour of midnight. Again, Ray Putnam and his friends sit in the studio. This time, both are alert, listening for any sound they may hear.
Mrs. Orion left us some sandwiches and coffee, Ray. Want to join me in a snack?
No.
Well, I'm going to have coffee, or I may fall asleep on you. Stays piping hot in this thermos jug. Good cup of coffee is just what you need.
No, nothing.
You know, it's a strange thing to me how you can be taken in by all this nonsense. You aren't going to hear anything tonight or any night.
You forget that I did last night.
Oh, you listened so hard last night you had to hear anything your mind created.
Didn't you hear someone knock?
You had me believing almost anything. I feel so darn silly. As if we were playing a game of cops and robbers. You sitting here with that gun. Both of us waiting for a spirit to make an appearance. Yeah, I was planning on having a swell weekend. I told Vi to come out today, but with things as they are, I decided it was best to call her and tell her not to come. Better have some of this coffee.
Dave.
Yeah.
Look at that rocking chair. The one Miriam always sat in. It's moving. See it? Rocking back and forth.
Well, what's funny about that? I've seen chairs rock by themselves lots of times. Wind catches them.
Miriam's sitting in that chair. I see her. She's sitting in the rocker.
Oh, get a hold of yourself. There isn't anyone there.
Stop that laughing. I'll end that insane laughter of yours forever.
Wait! You're the one who's insane? There's no one sitting in that chair? Yeah, you frightened the wits out of the Orient coming up the stairs. Coming, I'll let you in.
Get away from me. You can't touch me.
Why, it's all his imagination. The fire of the rocker. Thought she was sitting in it.
Mr. Putnam, what's the matter? What's wrong?
She's got her hands around my throat.
There ain't anyone in here but us, Mr. Putnam.
Her hands around my throat. Stop. Stop. I'll confess. I poisoned you. I had to kill you. But you might have harmed innocent people. It was best to kill you. But stop. Let me free.
Ray, there's no one in this room. Miriam didn't return. Ray.
What's the matter with him?
Call a doctor, Mrs. Orme. I'm afraid he's dying. Get a doctor here immediately. Vi, it's a terrible thing. There's really nothing any of us can say to comfort you.
He poisoned Miriam.
Yes, he told us just before he died.
You don't think she really did come back to carry out her threat of revenge?
I saw no one. I think Ray died of a guilty conscience. But of course it's true that there were finger marks on his throat, as if someone had choked him. And that is the part that is hard to figure out.
Turn on your lights. Turn them on. I'll be back. Pleasant dreams.
All characters, places, and occurrences mentioned in the Hermits Cave are fictitious, and similarity to persons, places, or occurrences is purely accidental.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler. Written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Coben. And starring two of radio's foremost actors, Lawson Zerbe and Frank Silvera, in Hideout.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as we follow the course of a strange friendship to a startling end. It's the story I call Hideout. As we begin our story of a friendship that even murder could not destroy, the time is midnight. Somewhere nearby, a tower clock is striking the hour. In the shadows at the mouth of an alley in New York's East Side, a boy is crouching, tense, frightened. Down the deserted street approaches a man, stocky, powerfully built, expensively dressed. As he passes the mouth of the alley, the boy leaps out behind him.
All right, mister. Stick 'em up and don't move.
Okay. Just take it easy, whoever you are. I never argue with a gun.
You better not. Now give me your dough.
Yeah, sure. It's in my inside coat pocket. I'll get it out for you and... Take that. Stick me up, will you? I ought to plug it. Come on, stand up. Let me see what you look like.
Don't shoot me. I wasn't going to hurt you, honest.
Why, it's just a kid, a runt. And trying to hold up Big Ed Jansky himself. You got a lot of nerve, kid. What's your name?
What do you care what my name is? Go on, call a cop.
I said, what's your name?
It's Maxie.
Maxie what?
Just Maxie. Sometimes the kids call me ugly because I ain't so good looking, see?
I'll say you ain't. Where you from, Maxie?
Philly.
Run away from home, huh?
That's my business.
You want another slap? So you try to become a stick-up man, huh? What else can you do besides stick-up?
Well, I can drive any kind of car. I had a parking lot job once.
Drive a car, huh? Well, Maxie, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I could turn you over to the cops, but I won't. I like your spirit, and I'm going to give you a job instead.
What kind of job?
You'll be my chauffeur. Most people try to get good-looking chauffeurs, but Big Ed Jansky's going to have the ugliest one anybody ever saw.
Gee. Do you really mean it, Mr. Jansky?
Sure, I mean it. Now, come on. You'll stay at my place tonight.
You're not just kidding me, are you?
Nah, I'm not kidding you. But don't ever forget this. You double-cross me, and I'll break every bone in your body. You stick by me, and you're my friend. And I look after my friends.
Gee, Mr. Jansky.
Now, what are you sniveling for?
Oh, it's because except for my brother, I never had a friend before in my life, Mr. Jansky.
So Maxie, the kid from Philadelphia, became Big Ed Jansky's private chauffeur. He kept hoping Big Ed would let him be a full-fledged member of the mob. But Big Ed laughed, told him to wait a while. Until one night when Maxie was driving Big Ed home from a late business conference.
Hey, Maxie.
Yeah, what is it, Mr.
Slow down a little. You must be doing 70.
No, just 68. I guess I forgot again that you don't like to go fast.
50's fast enough for anybody, except on a getaway.
Oh, sure, Mr. Jansky. Gee, I wish you'd let me drive the getaway car sometime. I've been on that hijack last week. Mike and little Willie wouldn't have smashed themselves up dead.
The cops shot out a tire. You can't do anything about that when you're hitting 80.
Oh, you can if you know how, Mr. Ed. I guess I'm sort of dumb about other things, but I sure do know how to drive.
Well, maybe someday I'll let you try your hand and... Hey, Maxie.
Yeah, Mr. Ed?
That black sedan. How long's it been following us?
Oh, about 10 minutes, I guess.
I don't like it. Step on it, kid.
You bet, Mr. Ed.
It's plenty lonely along here, and... Hey, they're pulling up on us. Step on it, will you, Maxie? Step on it.
Gee, Mr. Ed, there's something wrong with the motor. I can't get more than 75 out of her.
That's not good enough. They're pulling up fast and... There, I knocked the rear window out. Now hold her steady, kid. Give me a chance to aim.
I'll hold her, Mr. Ed.
I got a headlight. That's all. They're still pulling up. Maxie, can't you get more speed out of this boat?
I'm sorry, Mr. Ed. I just can't get her over 75.
And you said you could drive. We'll be dead pigeons in another minute. That's a Tommy gun.
Yeah, I know, Mr. Ed. What is it, Mr. Ed?
They got me, kid. On the shoulder. I can't use my gun anymore. They pull up fast, Maxie. Maxie, you've sold us out. You're slowing down on purpose so they can catch us.
No, really, I'm not, Mr. Ed.
You're lying. If I could use my gun, I'd plug you. You're going to stop the car and let them get me.
Oh, no. You watch. They're right behind. They're going to try to pass and then stop us. Now hold tight and watch out.
You swerved into them. Turned them over. They went into a telephone pole.
Yeah. That's a trick. If you swerve just the right second against the front wheels, you can do it every time and not be hurt yourself.
Maxie, you're promoted, kid. From now on, you're the mob's official driver.
Oh, gee, Mr. Ed. Gee, I don't know what to say.
And I thought you were double-crossing me back there.
Oh, I wouldn't double-cross you ever, Mr. Ed. You're my friend.
And so, the odd friendship between the big shot gang leader and the strange little man whose only talent was his uncanny ability at the wheel of a car went on year after year. The prohibition ended. Big Ed Jansky moved on to the protection racket. From there, he went on to other illegal but profitable enterprises, always apparently immune to the law. Until at last came the day when things were abruptly changed.
Wait a minute, Counselor. Are you trying to tell me that they can make this charge stick? That maybe they can send me to jail?
I'm afraid they can, Jansky. Now, this is a federal indictment. You know how tough the feds are.
But income tax. Who ever heard of a guy getting sent to jail for not paying his income tax?
They sent Al Capone away on a similar indictment, Jansky. You'd have heard about it if you hadn't been in Europe.
Well, you should have warned me. It's your fault.
You retained me too late, Jansky. Look, the Special Department of Justice prosecutor is coming here this afternoon. I'm going to try to make a deal for you to pay your back taxes. His name's Tom Nelson. He's just a kid. And an offer of $2 million will interest him enough so he won't mind saving the government the trouble of a trial.
$2 million? Why, that's every cent I got.
If they convict you, they'll take it away anyway. Don't worry. Even if worse comes to worse, I think I can get you off with 6 months.
Come in. Oh, it's you, Maxie.
And you sent for me, Mr. Ed?
Yeah. Sit down, kid. How long you been with me, Maxie? 13 years?
12 years, 6 months, and 3 days. Since the night you said you'd be my friend. If I stuck by you.
You practically got it right down to the minute, haven't you?
Ah, yeah. I couldn't ever forget it.
Well, you've been with me longer than anybody else, kid. Maybe somebody might come around wanting to ask you questions.
Who, Mr. Ed?
This special federal prosecutor. You know, the one they appointed a while back, Tom Nelson. You know about him?
Oh, yeah, I do. His name's been in the paper lots lately. I read every word.
Well, he's trying to send me to Atlanta. Me, Big Ed Jansky, just because I didn't pay income tax. You know, I got a notion to send a rod to bump off this Nelson, just to teach them all a lesson.
Oh, no, Mr. Ed.
No, what?
Oh, you mustn't have him shot. Then everything would be spoiled.
I don't get you, Maxie.
Well, I mean, they might catch you and make you burn in the electric chair.
If they could prove anything. You know, you're right, kid. It wouldn't do any good just to bump off one of them, would it? Anyway, this is the idea. You know a lot about me. And now I know I can trust you.
Sure, you can trust me. We're friends.
Yeah, but you're not very bright, kid, and this Nelson is. You know, he might learn things from you without your knowing it. So I want you to stay out of sight until after the trial.
Anything you say, Mr. Ed.
You remember that farm I bought up in Vermont?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Well, you take the little car and drive up there tonight. There's plenty of canned stuff in the cellar. You stay hid there until I send for you. I'll be in the clear again in a month or two. Even if they tag me, it'll only be for 6 months.
I'll do just what you say, Mr. Ed. You can trust me for anything.
But Big Ed Jansky's days of immunity were over, and the end of his trial made big headlines in the newspapers. But eventually the news reached even the isolated farm where Maxie waited anxiously. He slowly read the news that told how his boss had been stunned by a 10 to 15-year sentence in Atlanta Penitentiary. How, raging like a maniac, he had leaped at the throat of the special prosecutor, Tom Nelson, screaming that he would kill him if it was his last act. How the guards had pulled him away, handcuffed him, and carried him out of the courtroom, still shouting threats. But when he had finished, Maxie put the paper down, shook his head.
Gee, I'm glad he didn't hurt Mr. Nelson. If they put poor Mr. Ed in jail, I gotta go see him. Right away. Gee, Mr. Ed, they say you'll be here 10 years, maybe. What'll I do all that time? That's a lot of years.
For Pete's sakes, don't start sniffling, Maxie. Yeah, it's a lot of years. And it's that Nelson who's done it to me. He could have gone easy. He was trying to make a name for himself at my expense. Just wait till I get out. He'll have a name, all right. It'll be mud.
What'll you do?
I'll plug him, that's what. I told him so in court, and I meant it.
Oh, no, Mr. Ed, please. If you kill him, they'll make you sit on the electric chair.
When I say a thing, I mean it. Now tell me, what are you doing now that the gang's all scattered?
Well, I got a job, Mr. Ed. I had to get one when I got back to the city and my money was all gone.
A job? Who'd give you a job?
Well, it's a night watchman job. Nobody else wanted it. You remember that big apartment house on Riverside Drive? The great big one that never got finished because the builders went broke?
Yeah, I know the one. The Outlook House. 40 floors high and never finished inside.
Well, it's so lonely and gloomy and so full of rats. Nobody wants to be night watchman, so they gave me the job.
Hey, that gives me an idea.
Yeah, Mr. Ed?
About 8 years from now, figuring time off for good behavior, I'm getting out of here. And when I do, I'll need a friend.
Oh, I'll always be your friend.
Yeah, I know. So listen, I don't want you to come here again. I don't want you to write. I don't want anybody to know that you know me.
You don't?
No, because after I leave stir and do what I said I'm gonna do, I'll need a hideout. So you hang on to that night watchman job, see, Maxie?
Sure, Mr. Ed.
And when the night comes that I knock on the door, you have a hiding place all ready for me, understand?
Uh-huh.
Have a hideout where the cops will never find Big Ed Jansky.
So the years slipped away, and Maxie, older now, a curious, stooped figure, never spoke to anyone unless he was spoken to first. He went about his rounds as night watchman in the still, empty, and unfinished Outlook House, 40 stories high, with 500 empty, echoing rooms where the rats squeaked and scampered. Finally, the day came. Big Ed Jansky was released, forgotten by everyone, except Maxie. Now Big Ed Jansky had made a promise. He hadn't forgotten it. So the evening of his return to the city, he was waiting in a darkened room for the door to open and admit the man he had sworn to kill.
Nelson.
Jansky.
Yeah, Jansky. 8 years later. Maybe you'd forgotten all about me, huh? Maybe you'd forgotten about my promise.
Put away that gun, Jansky.
Maybe you forgot, Nelson, but I didn't. 8 years I've been in the pen, and every minute of that time your name's been eaten away at me because you were still alive. I'm fixing that right now.
Jansky, you can't get away with it.
This will prove who's right, me or you. Take it, Nelson.
Again, the name of Big Ed Jansky was in the papers in big black headlines. Special prosecutor killed. Police hunt released convict in murder of crime fighter. And as the headlines blazed their news, Maxie shuffled through the empty corridors of the Outlook House, making his rounds.
Well, that's the last station for this round. So I guess we better go down and see if Mr. Ed's come yet. Come on, Gray Whiskers. Yeah, you don't know Mr. Ed Gray Whiskers, but he's my friend. He's the only friend I ever had. And we'll go downstairs to the back door and wait for him. He may get here any minute now. You remember? I told you lots about Mr. Ed. Just like I told you about Pop and Mom and my kid brother and how good he's been doing since he got out of college. Sure, I knew you remembered. Well, Mr. Ed is coming here to hide out from the police. He killed somebody, so he has to hide out or they'll catch him and they put him in the electric chair. We're friends, so I have to help him. I wish he hadn't done it, though. I do wish he hadn't. Oh, there he is now. He's here.
Maxie!
I'm coming, Mr. Ed. I'm coming.
Maxie!
Here I am, Mr. Ed. Come in, Mr. Ed, quick, huh?
All right, I'm in. Get the door shut.
All right.
That's better. Well, Maxie, here I am at last. Aren't you going to say hello? That is, I surprise you too much.
Oh, no, Mr. Ed. I read about it in the papers.
Then you knew I'd be around. Well, what about it? You got a hideout fixed up for me?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Ed, but... Gee, I wish I hadn't done it.
Don't start that now. Nelson had it coming to him, and he got it. Just show me to the hideout. The cops are after me. But if I can lay low for a week, I'll be free as air. I got pals to prove I was in Chicago the whole time.
All right, Mr. Ed.
Hey, are we alone here in this 40-story joint?
All alone. It's just you and me and 500 empty rooms. Just follow after me now, and I'll show you the hideout I got fixed up.
Hey, what a joint. A grave would be cozier.
Here we are now.
Here? Where are we now?
Down in the sub-basement.
It's colder and damper than an icebox.
We're 50 feet underground.
Being buried would be more cheerful. What are those things over there?
Oh, just the auxiliary furnaces.
What do you mean, auxiliary?
Just for emergencies. This building is supposed to get steam and electric from the steam and electric company, see? Well, these furnaces are only in case something breaks down. Then the building can make its own steam and electric.
Well, where's the hideout? You don't expect me to hide in a furnace, do you?
Oh, no. Right here, see? Now, these are the doors to the coal bin. They wind up like this. There. Now we can duck underneath and get inside. Just follow me now. Now we're inside the coal bin. I brought down some blankets and a lantern for you. There they are. Ain't it a swell hideout, huh?
A concrete coal bin. It's big enough, but no windows, no doors except... Except that, I'd rather be in solitary.
Yeah, but nobody will ever find you. That's what's important.
Yeah, I suppose so, but what's that?
It's only the rats. There. See, Grey Whiskers is chasing them away. You know, Grey Whiskers is my cat. He follows me around every place I go. Oh, he's very smart. I tell him about you and about my pop and Mom and how good my kid brother's been going and stuff like that.
I don't care what you talk to him about. You know, you never were very bright, Maxie, and you're getting dumber all the time.
Gee, Mr. Ed, you mean you don't like
No, I don't like the hideout. A coal bin 50 feet underground. I'll stay here, but only until after the heat goes off, and no longer.
I understand, Mr. Ed. Gee, that's why I keep wishing you hadn't killed Tom Nelson. Then this wouldn't be necessary.
It's done, and nothing's going to undo it.
Well, I got to be getting back to my ranch now. If I'm late punching in, it'll show on the clock, and they'll wonder why. They might get to snooping around.
Yeah, that's right. But rounds or no rounds, I want some stuff. I want grub and magazines and some rye and cigarettes. You hustle them down here first chance you get, see?
Yeah, sure. I have a dandy idea for that. Hey, you see that hole up there in the ceiling?
Yeah, right over us. What about it?
Well, it goes up to a manhole in the courtyard out back of the building.
And what of it?
Why, instead of coming down to bring you food and stuff, I'll just lift that manhole and let the stuff down on a string. It'll save lots of time. And if anybody should come snooping around, I won't ever have to come near the basement.
I get it. Hey, you know, you're not quite as stupid as I thought.
I figured you'd see how smart it is. Now I'll go outside and crank the door down, and nobody will ever know you're here.
Hey, you leave that door like it is. It's going to stay open, see?
Yeah, but if the cops come around looking for you, they'll know right away you're here if the door's open.
Oh, the devil. All right, close the door.
So long, Mr. Ed.
And don't forget the grub.
No, I won't. There. I've closed it all but an inch. I'll get your stuff at midnight, Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed! Oh, Mr. Ed!
That's you, Maxie.
I got your stuff, Mr. Ed.
About time.
I'm letting it down on a string.
Okay, let it come.
Here it is, Mr. Ed. Can you reach it yet?
No, not yet. Keep it coming.
Well, I let out all the string. Can you reach it now?
Yeah, I got it. Okay, Maxie.
I gotta go now, Mr. Ed. There's a truck just arrived with a delivery.
Hey, you there. You the watchman?
Yeah, that's me.
Where does this load go?
Back around right over here, huh?
That got it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we gotta make this snappy. There's another load of coal coming right after me, and they'll keep coming until daylight. We gotta finish delivery before the daytime traffic starts.
Yeah, I understand. I got the manhole open for you.
Oh, good. All right, now we'll put the coal chute in place. There. That's got it. Now to crank up the body and let old man Gravity do his stuff. Golly, it's a spooky place.
It is, kind of.
Yeah, it drives me nuts to hang around here every night.
I don't mind it. I'm kind of sorry to finish it off.
Say, didn't that sound like a scream, man?
Well, it did, sort of.
Yeah, it shows you what a joint like this can do to a man's nerves. Makes him hear screams and stuff like that. So they're finishing the Outlook house at last, huh?
Yeah, in a month, people will be moving in.
Well, the coal bins will be full. 200 tons.
That's bin number 5 you're filling now.
By morning, it'll have 40 tons in it.
Yeah. Maybe the coal won't ever been used.
How's that?
Well, it's just for the auxiliary furnaces. They won't ever use it unless the steam and electric from the regular companies goes on.
So they won't even open the vents until the heat goes off, huh?
And that might be nervous.
Well, that's one load. I gotta make room for the next one. I'll be back, though. And hope I don't hear any more screams.
I don't guess you will.
I bet you one thing, though.
What?
This building's been empty so long, I'll bet you when people start living in it, they'll find it's picked up a ghost.
Is that you, Gray Whiskers? Hey, what's the matter? You ought to be in bed. It's almost morning now, and all the coal bins are full up. Bin number 5 is full to the top. And Mr. Ed is down underneath 40 tons of coal, where the police won't ever find him. He was my friend. The only friend I ever had. I had to help him hide out when the cops were after him, didn't I? But I wish it could have been different. If only Mr. Ed hadn't shot Tom Nelson. Because what I couldn't tell him, what I didn't ever want anybody to know, was that Tom Nelson was my kid brother.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Well, that's a real friend for you, that Maxie. He'll help you hide if it kills you. And it probably will. It's a big lesson for Big Ed Chansky, all right. It'll teach him to stay out of coal bins in the future. But don't worry about him. 40 tons of coal will keep him warm for a long time. Oh, that reminds me of another story in which an ambitious young man who, with 2 corpses on his hands, decides that he... you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler. Now you can enjoy other tense and exciting tales of The Mysterious Traveler in the January issue of The Mysterious Traveler magazine, now available. In our cast were Lawson Zerbe, Frank Silvera, and Sidney Paul, with Maurice Tarplin starred in the title role. Music under the direction of Sylvan Levin, composed by Richard DuPage. The Mysterious Traveler is written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Cogan. All characters in our story were fictitious. Any resemblance to names of actual persons was purely coincidental. Phil Tonkin speaking. This program came to you from New York. Pardon us, but your shadow is showing. Yes, your shadow, my shadow, and everyone's shadow is showing over most of these same mutual stations every Sunday, showing outstanding mystery entertainment. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
The Strange Dr. Weird.
Good evening. Come in, won't you? Why, what's the matter? Surely you're not nervous. Perhaps a story might calm your nerves a little. A story about an undertaker and death. I call it Stand-In for Death. My story begins in the small, dimly lit undertaking parlor of Charles Thompson. Thompson and his son, Paul, are listening to the news broadcast.
As yet, there has been no further news about Tony Williams, the notorious gangster who less than an hour ago shot and killed Detective Walter O'Hara and fatally injured a 6-year-old child in making his getaway in a stolen car. The entire police force is on the search for Williams. It is believed that...
To think that Tony Williams is our cousin, a man like that.
Oh, Dad, you mustn't take it so hard. After all, No, I'll answer it. Tony. Want the whole neighborhood to know I'm here. Lock the door and pull out the shades.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Why have you come here, Tony? What do you want?
I need a hideout, and this is going to be it.
No, Tony. I won't let you hide out here. You're nothing but a mad killer.
Yeah?
Tony, put away that gun.
This gun's the reason you're going to hide me out here, you understand?
Yeah.
You understand?
We understand.
And just do as I say and you may live. I'll have to lay low here for a couple of days until the heat's off. I've had a chance to make some plans.
Well, come, Paul. It's 4 o'clock. We must leave.
Wait a minute. Where are you going?
We're taking old Luigi Gambone to Woodcrest Cemetery to bury him.
Woodcrest? It's about 5 miles out of town, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Are there going to be any mourners at old Luigi's funeral?
No. Luigi had no relatives.
The city was going to bury him in a pauper's grave until we claimed his body.
This gets better and better.
Why are you so interested in old Luigi's funeral?
Because old Luigi's funeral is going to be my funeral.
What? What are you talking about?
This. I'm substituting myself in a coffin for Luigi. All you two have to do is drive to the cemetery. There, I'll get out of the coffin and head for my hideout. After I'm gone, you bury the empty coffin and nobody will be the wiser.
But Luigi's body. What do we do with that?
That's your problem.
No, I won't do it.
You'll do as I say. There'll be 3 corpses in this room instead of 1. Now dump Luigi out of that coffin and make it fast.
We're starting now, Tony.
Okay. Remember, if the cops stop you, don't let them get suspicious or else.
No, Tony, we won't. Paul, there's a man signaling us to stop.
No trick. If you try anything, I'll come out of this coffin shooting, and the first 2 bullets will be for you.
Be quiet, Tony. Here he comes. It's O'Hara, the private detective.
O'Hara? The cop's brother?
Yes, now be quiet. Oh. Hello, O'Hara.
Hello, Charlie. I thought it was you. Lucky I caught you. I was just going to drop in on you.
Drop in? On me?
That's right. Where are you headed for?
We're going out to bury old Luigi at Woodcrest Cemetery.
Oh, Luigi, huh?
Yes.
I suppose you heard the latest about Tony Williams.
Yes, I heard it over the radio. I'm sorry about your brother, O'Hara. He was a good man.
Yeah. You haven't by chance seen Williams lately, have you?
You know I've never had anything to do with Williams. Never.
Sure, Charlie. It's just that I thought you being Williams' cousin, he might just possibly have come to you for help.
Oh, no. We haven't seen him in almost a year, have we, Paul?
No, we haven't.
That's all right, Charlie. Say, do you mind if I ride along with you?
Huh?
There's a few questions I'd like to ask you about Williams and his habits.
But I just got through telling you I haven't seen Williams in almost a year.
What are you getting so excited about, Charlie? All I want to ask you is a few things about Williams. Get this. I'm going to see that Williams gets what's coming to him. And I'm going to be awful suspicious of anybody who doesn't cooperate with me.
Well, you mustn't mind my father. He always gets excited when someone mentions Williams' name. You know we'll be more than glad to answer any questions, Mr. O'Hara.
Yes, of course, O'Hara. What do you want to know?
You can get started, Charlie. I'll ride part of the way to the cemetery with you. You can answer my questions on the way.
But we can talk here. We wouldn't want to take you out of your way.
Oh, no, that's all right. You private dicks always have plenty of time. I think there's enough room for me to sit up front with you. Just slide over a bit, will you, Charlie? Sit. This is fine. All right, Paul. Let's be on our way to the cemetery.
Dr. Weird's merry tale will be continued in a minute. Which reminds me, Doctor, did you have a Merry Christmas yesterday?
Young man, don't mention Christmas to me.
Why, what's the matter, Doctor?
I was hoping to get a skeleton this year, but...
Oh, Dr. Weird, I know just how disappointed you are. And, gentlemen, if you were hoping for an Adam hat this Christmas but didn't get one, I can sympathize with you, too. The new line of Adams this year certainly are tops in design and quality workmanship. So don't be disappointed. Get an Adam yourself. Walk into any of the thousands of Adam hat stores or authorized dealers from coast to coast and try on a fine-looking Adam. There's an Adam hat just for you, styled to bring out your best features. The soft-looking, genuine all-fur felt and the smart new colors also add distinction to the wearer of an Adam. And remember, that fine array of hats you see in the Adam store window is on the shelves, too. You're sure to find the hat that's right for you in an Adam store. Now, here's Dr. Weir.
And now I'll finish my story, Stand In for Death. The hearse has left the city behind and is nearing Woodcrest Cemetery. Mile after mile, Paul is driven in silence as O'Hara questions his father about Tony Williams.
Well, here we are, O'Hara, the entrance to the cemetery.
Huh? Oh, so we are. Huh? Go ahead, Paul. Drive in.
But, O'Hara, if you go into the cemetery with us, how will you get back to town?
That's all right. I don't mind walking from the grave back to the main road. Go ahead, Paul. Drive in.
But O'Hara...
Go ahead, Paul. What are you waiting for? I'm certainly glad, Charlie, that you and Paul aren't mixed up in Tony's escape. You know, if you were, it'd mean 10 years apiece for you in the penitentiary.
You know we wouldn't help a killer like Tony Williams.
Sure, I know that. Guys like Tony have a way of intimidating people.
Oh, but not me, O'Hara.
Yes, Charlie, even you. Tony's smart, and he has an even smarter lawyer. Remember when he was on trial for the murder of that state trooper? He beat that rap because witnesses refused to testify. Tony had intimidated him, and he was acquitted even though everyone knew he was guilty.
Yes, but this time he wouldn't have a chance of escaping the chair.
I'm not so sure, Charlie. And even if he were convicted, let me tell you, the chair would be far too good for him. Don't you agree?
Oh, yes, you're right, O'Hara.
Well, here we are.
Oh, is that the grave you're going to bury old Luigi in?
Yes.
Well, there doesn't seem to be anybody around. Where are the men that lower the coffin into the grave and do the burying?
There aren't any. You see, Luigi died penniless. I'm burying him out of my own pocket. I couldn't afford the men to do it.
You mean that you and Paul are going to bury him by yourselves?
That's right, O'Hara.
Well, I'll give you a hand.
But that isn't necessary. My mother and I can manage alone.
Yes, the coffin is only a little cheap pine one, and old Luigi weighs very little. It's nothing at all to manage.
Nonsense. If you two are paying for old Luigi's funeral out of your own pocket, the least I can do is give you a hand. Come on.
But, O'Hara, it'll take at least an hour to bury him, and there's no sense in your wasting all that time.
Yes, besides, it's getting dark fast, don't you think?
I'll help you bury old Luigi. And then we can all go back to the city together.
But, O'Hara, your clothes.
Just an old suit. A little dirt won't hurt it. Come on, let's get the coffin out and get started. Now, let's ease it out of the hearse, down to the ground. That's it. Say, you two forgot to lock the coffin. Yeah, that's better. Did you want to say something, Charlie?
If you and Paul were mixed up in Tony's escape, it would mean 10 years in the penitentiary.
No, O'Hara, I didn't want to say anything.
Okay. Paul, have you got the ropes you used to lower the coffin into the grave?
Yes, here they are.
All right, let's get it over with. All right, let the coffin down easily. That's it. Oh, Luigi isn't as light as you might think. Where are the shovels, Paul? Here. Fine. You use one while I use the other.
Huh?
Charlie, you better take it easy. While Paul and I shovel the dirt in.
No, don't do that. Let me out of this coffin. Let me out. Let me out.
Oh, what's the matter, Charlie? You're as pale as a ghost. You look as though you're hearing voices.
Oh, O'Hara, don't you hear?
I don't hear a thing.
O'Hara, listen to me. I surrender, O'Hara. I'll confess. I'll confess to everything. The state trooper I murdered. Killing your brother, the little kid I know. Let me out, O'Hara. Let me out.
O'Hara, you heard what he said. You confessed to everything.
I didn't hear a thing. And neither did you two. You understand?
Yes, we understand, O'Hara.
Do you, Charlie?
Yes. I understand.
Okay, Paul. And let's start shoveling the dirt in.
No, Harry. Don't. Somebody alive. I can fix everything, Harry. Somebody alive.
Too bad about poor Tony, wasn't it? It must be unpleasant to be buried alive. You know, I've often wondered how long it takes a person to suffocate in a coffin. Now, if some brave soul were to volunteer for an experiment, I could... Oh, you have to go now. Too bad. But perhaps you'll drop in on me again soon. I'm always home. Just look for the house on the other side of the cemetery. The house of Dr. Weir.
Unsolved Mysteries. An old saying is, dead men tell no tales. Nothing could be farther from the truth. In the United States alone, there are several cases on record in which the police, after finding no clue upon which to work, have been led directly to the murderer by a force which, for want of a better name, we call supernatural. Washington Square, an old residential district which has stood still and aloof as the rest of the city has rushed on in the mad whirl of modernism. The houses still have iron railings before them. The street lamps are few and far between. The causeway is cobbled, uneven and hard to walk on. Not a house but has its 5 or 6 steps leading up to the front door. And full bells have not yet been replaced by the shrill ringing electric bells. A soft snow falls, softening the harsh outlines of the buildings, sidewalk and street. Parking lawn and these are all one, a wavy blanket of glistening white. A light shows in number 21, where Jack Hunter addresses a strange company of guests. Now, everyone please make yourselves as comfortable as possible. Cigarettes in that lacquer box, cigars in the humidor. You'll find drinks to your taste in that cabinet. I'm going to stand here, if you don't mind, and explain this, rather unusual situation.
I've simply been on pins and needles ever since I received your letter.
Yes, I can believe that. Putting it as simply as possible, every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, has at some time or another lived in this house. Sometime during the past 32 years.
I lived here in 1911 for exactly 4 nights.
Well, that's 1 night longer than I would say. I insisted that George move me out the 3rd night. I couldn't stand it.
I believe that I'm right in assuming that each and every one of us has had the same experience.
I lived here 1 whole year, so possibly I did experience a little more than the rest of you.
Yes, Mr. Strange. According to my records, you have lived longer in the house than anyone else. Suppose you summarize.
Well, the first night I slept here, nothing happened. But the second night, I woke with that strange feeling that something was in the room. I was about to turn up the light when I came to a realization that it wasn't necessary, although it was quite dark. I could see figures. They were ranged along the sides of my bed and across the bottom. I couldn't tell about the top because, frankly, I was too frightened to move.
That's just exactly what happened to me.
I saw them the first night. They just stood there and stared and stared. They never said a word, and I couldn't.
That was my experience, and it happened no less than 103 times in 1 year. Gradually, I got used to them. Used to speculate to myself that some of them were more dense, more material than others. Especially one who very often came by herself. A woman.
May I interrupt?
Certainly.
The woman is the key to the whole problem. May I take the story from there?
Why,
yes,
of course. Certainly.
Almost any minute now, Mr. Crawford will arrive. He wrote to me and said that he had the solution to this visitation and that he'd be here tonight. Until he arrived, I'll tell you about the woman. It was 1909. I lived about 1.5 miles from here. And one morning, snowing, wintry as could be, I left the house to go downtown to my office. I was walking along past Cortlandt Park, when the officer on the beat, Pat O'Malley,
Top of the morning to you, sir. And it's a right brisk morning that it is, Mr. Hunter.
Oh, yes, Pat, like the old days when we were kids going to school.
Yes, sir. Them was the days. We never appreciate them till we have to be up and going in the mornings and off to work. Why, sir? What are you looking at?
Look, Pat, over in the park. Doesn't that look like the outline of a body there under the snow?
Sure, and that it does, sir. And we'll be after going and satisfying ourselves that everything is all right.
Yeah, if we can open the gate. I'll bet it's frozen stiff in this cold.
Then we'll just have to climb the railing, and that we will. Oh, sure now, and don't you be spoiling them good gloves of yours, Mr. Hunter. I'll open them gates.
Yeah, they're opening.
Oh, well, whatever it is, it must have lain there all night. There's not a trace of footprints or anything else.
Yes, Pat, and now that I'm close to it, it looks more like a body than ever.
Well, we'll soon be after finding out that we will. All wet and sticky.
And red. She's been murdered, Pat.
And that's no lie. For never yet did anybody stab themselves in the small of the back like this one's been stabbed. Well, I'll call the patrol and we'll take her to the morgue.
I don't know if any of you remember the affair.
I do. There never was a trace of the murderer or anything. The papers were full of it. Called it Philadelphia's Unsolved Mysteries.
Correct. I appeared at the inquest. But today, no one but myself knows any more than they did then.
You say no one but yourself?
Yes. I moved from where I was living about 5 years later and came to live here. The first night, I went to bed dead tired from all the hustle of moving. And just as soon as I'd set my alarm clock, I fell sound asleep. Midnight. The bedroom fills with ghostly, shadowy shapes. Wisps of an intangible something formed in the likeness of human forms. Transparent. Horribly transparent. They ranged themselves about the bed. And in ghastly silence they stare down upon the man Jack Hunter lying there. Jack stirs uneasily in his sleep, turns and tosses, twists himself about, and opens his eyes. Frozen with fear, he lies staring with wide eyes. His lips form words, questions, but nothing that he can do, no effort that he can make will force words out. Another shape enters the room. A woman. Those shadowy nothings about the bed look at the newcomer, and one by one they melt into nothingness. The woman advances to the bed.
You can help me.
What? What is that you said?
You can help me. I was murdered. I cannot rest until my murderer is known.
A woman. A murdered woman I found in the park.
Yes. You found me in the park. You know my murderer.
I know your murderer?
Yes. Come with me. Follow me to the living room. You will help me. You will let me rest.
Jack Hunter follows the woman through the archway into the living room. She stops before the grand piano, turns her ghastly eyes upon him, and then pointing to a portrait, his wife's portrait.
He murdered me.
Jack claps his hands to his eyes, rocks to and fro, and with a crash falls to the floor in a dead faint. It was almost daylight when I came to. I was pretty groggy.
Oh, what a horrible experience. To find your wife accused of murder.
The horrible part of it was true.
What? You can't.
Yes. My wife had been in a private institution for the violently insane for years. She escaped. I knew nothing about her escape, but I investigated. She returned to the institution 2 days later, her clothes bloodstained. And the institution management glad to get her back so easily. Never said a word.
But why? Why in the name of heaven has all this happened in this house? The rest of us, we've never done anything for which we should be haunted. Not by one ghost, but by dozens.
I think that ring at the doorbell is the answer we're seeking.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes, Mr. Crawford. I'll go and let him in. Make yourselves comfortable.
I'll be damned if I know what to make of it.
No lie. I'm just as puzzled as I was when I lived here.
Well, we'll see what Crawford has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Crawford.
How do you do?
I have told them, Mr. Crawford, the story to date.
About your wife?
Everything.
In order to understand this, you must realize that Washington Square is very much changed from what it was back in the 80s. Over where the hotel stands today is where the old courthouse used to be. Down there where the gasoline station stands used to be old Meeker's stables. The jail used to stand where the hotel stands now.
This house, that's what we want to know.
Yes. I've been on pins and needles. I still am.
This house used to be the morgue.
After you have heard from your sponsor, a solution to the Washington Square mystery will be given. Ladies and gentlemen, the solution for which you have been waiting.
You said, Mr. Crawford, that this house used to be the morgue?
Yes, I did.
But that still doesn't explain it.
It does, as far as I'm concerned.
You see, when you begin dealing with the mysterious realm beyond the practical and concrete things of life, things that can be weighed, seen, felt, and otherwise measured, you start dealing with situations that can only be investigated by comparison.
What do you mean by comparison?
Comparisons of happenings of a like nature. Comparisons with the experiences of thousands of reputable people who have testified to similar experiences.
You mean that if someone is emotionally upset in a certain house, the imprint of that emotion will be left in the house, almost like a photograph?
That is the claim of many.
Even if people know nothing of what has happened?
Yes. Have you ever walked into a house and had an unexplainable feeling of dislike for the place?
Why, yes, of course.
What causes it? Well, there are many people who say it's an invisible influence left by the previous occupants or previous happenings. It is easy to imagine the heartbreaking scenes in this morgue. The air of gloom, the constant stream of people walking through this building. There's nothing in their mind but the identification of persons who have been murdered or otherwise met violent death.
Then these things which we saw and heard are, well, our own sensitive nature becoming aware of what you call invisible photographs of previous happenings.
Yes, that is the theory advanced. In that state between sleeping and waking, these previous happenings took on an almost tangible form. And when you came back to consciousness, fully aware of what had happened and fully convinced that you had been quite awake the whole time.
Autolite and its 96,000 dealers bring you Mr. Joseph Cotton in tonight's presentation of Suspense.
Tonight, Autolite presents the story of a man who craved power, position, and money, and destroyed himself accomplishing it. A tale we call A Watery Grave, starring Mr. Joseph Cotton.
Why, it's Oscar Otto. You're looking way below par.
I feel that way, too.
Well, let Dr. Wilcox have a look. Well, Oscar, I'd say you're suffering from a case of worn-out spark plugs. Let's visit the nearest Autolite spark plug dealer. He and his exclusive Autolite plug check indicator will quickly show if I'm right.
And suppose you are.
Well, if that exclusive Autolite plug check indicator shows that your spark plugs are worn out, or wrong for your style of driving, the Autolite spark plug dealer will install a bright, brisk set of ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs to give you smoother performance, quick starts, and gas savings.
Okay, let's go. But how do I find the location of the nearest Autolite spark plug dealer?
Why, that's easy. We'll call Western Union by number and ask for operator 25. She'll gladly tell us his location. Let's go, Oscar, because from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, with A Watery Grave and the performance of Mr. Joseph Cotton, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
How did it happen when everything was so good? How did it get destroyed in 5 short hours? How did I start to die? In our city, a district attorney is an important man. Our city is an important city in the nation. Therefore, I am important as its district attorney. The logic of law, the deductive reasoning that leads to everything. It was only reasonable that such powerful interests should have come to me. I had a case against McNeely which could have destroyed him. What is it, Mr. McNeely?
I'm not in the habit of making these calls myself, Mr. Callan.
That's obvious, but then you're not in this position very often either.
It's a daring thing you've done.
Only a question of getting a sufficiently strong case against you.
I've broken other district attorneys for attempting it.
Well, they never had the evidence I do. I don't think you'd want to try breaking me. I can send you to prison for life.
You're right. And yet, where I can't destroy you, I can prevent you from advancing, getting to a greater position, a more prominent position in political life.
What does that mean?
It means that it's no longer a question of can you be bought, but how much you want.
I've waited a long time for this moment to be able to bargain with you.
I respect your strength and perception. It's worth a great deal to me, Mr. Callan.
There's the matter of my chief witness. If I don't prosecute you, he'll go to the state district attorney, perhaps to the federal government.
And that is part of what you will give me in exchange for the wealth you're going to receive. Who is your chief witness?
I can guarantee you he'll not testify.
I would rather give myself my own guarantee on that matter.
You mean his death, wouldn't it?
Mr. Callan, all of us, any of us, even the most noble of persons, must look the other way sometimes.
It's easy for you to say that. It's easy for you to do.
To look the other way becomes the easiest thing in the world after a while. All you have to know is why you're doing it and what you have to gain.
How does one look the other way? How does one achieve the facility for turning around at precisely the right moment?
A trip to Europe.
My wife has always wanted to go to Europe. She likes things like that.
His name?
Trip to Europe is something that is dreamed of. Spoken of it often.
His name?
Bartell.
Ah, yes. Oh, yes. My good, trusted friend, Bartell. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Callan.
Who was Bartell? A man from the streets who had muscled his way into life. Who was Bartell? Circumstance had made him a witness to McNeely's worst plans. Destiny had placed him in a position of value to the district attorney's office. This valueless man, Bartell, happenstance and coincidence had made him the keeper of dark secrets and illegal events which could have smashed an empire. An empire I was now partner to merely because I told them a name and looked the other way. The first night out, I waited on deck after dinner, waited for Betty to come out, and we would go to the main saloon. Oh, it felt good to know your way in the world, to know when to look the other way. Sometimes you only have to do it once if you plan right. And Betty could have everything, a bigger house, another servant in the house, up, moving up, so secure, I didn't even hear his footsteps approaching. So positive all was going well, I didn't even think of caution. So certain of success, everything for Betty. I was so pleased.
You're the only man I ever trusted.
Bartell.
The only man, and a DA besides.
And you can still trust me.
Even after you said my name?
I'm getting rid of McNeely for you.
Are you?
You turned state's evidence. If you didn't believe I could get rid of McNeely, you wouldn't have dared turn state's evidence.
I believed you. I trusted you.
Let's stop the game.
Why did I ever think I could trust you? Now tell me, you're a smart man. You went to college.
Because it was to your advantage. Because if the law could get rid of McNeely for you, that was better.
And safer.
So don't have any illusions about trusting me. You never did. You needed me. That's different.
And you needed me. We needed each other. We still do. Nothing's different.
You're under bond, Bartell. You're leaving the country without permission.
McNeely gave me permission. He had me shot at, and I was wounded. See my shoulder? Fat on this side, fat from bandages.
You don't have a passport.
I don't need that either. I have money.
How'd you get aboard?
Oh, it's simple. Easy to stay hidden for a day. The second and third day, that's something else.
I can fix it so you won't be let off, so you'll be sent right back.
Mr. Callan, I can put you in prison if I'm sent back.
My word would prevail against yours in any court of law.
Maybe against my word alone, but not McNeely's hired gun, so both our words against yours.
You have him?
Some of my men do, yeah. He's safe at home.
Oh, I could discredit your testimony.
Then why argue?
I have nothing to do with you.
You got no choice, Mr. Callan.
I'm warning you, Bartell.
Well, what do you do? Kill me? You're not the kind who thinks like that. You kill by law, the legal way.
And I'll find a way by law.
Once I'm in Europe, they have different laws.
All right. I'm a realist, Bartell.
So?
I only take calculated risks. What's your price?
I have more money than you do, Callan. You couldn't buy me.
Then what do you want?
But you have more prestige than I do. You're liked. You know your way around the talkers. Well, talk me off this ship.
You're impossible.
Find a way.
You'll be discovered before we dock.
Not if you put me up in your cabin.
Bartell, wherever I'm involved, I'll listen and meet a man halfway. But me alone, not my wife. If you involve my wife, I won't do a thing for you. Not if my wife's involved in any way. Not a thing.
I'm in a squeeze, Callan. I'm finished unless you help me get into Europe. But you'll be finished with me. I got enough power for that.
I'll find a way.
All right, I'll go with you.
No. Meet me here in 1 hour.
walked away calm. I made a point of walking away confident, but my stomach felt sick. Maybe I thought of trying to kill him then and didn't know it. I'd been raised to respect human life. I'd been educated to be decent, to forgive. But Bartell wasn't human. He was a beast. And is there anything in the ethic which says we cannot protect our lives when attacked? Bartell was destroying me, pulling me carefully built world down about me. A world Betty must know nothing about. A world I had built to protect Betty. From law school to ward politics to assistant district attorney. The long way up, the hardest minds to fight, the most realistic men to please. Only the toughest stay with it. Only the toughest and shrewdest get to my position, because my position leads to the highest offices if you're smart, if you look the other way. Maybe I knew I wanted to kill him then. The sea was calm. The ship wasn't pitching. My stomach was sick. Half an hour gone and still no plan. Where to go, who to turn to, what to ask. Nothing, anywhere. My mind posed questions for which there were no answers. Would I lose all I owned in the world? Problems for which there were no solutions. If I lost everything, would Betty go too? Were the two things inseparable? My success and Betty?
I'll be ready in a minute. Robert, is that you? Who is it? Oh, Robert, you didn't answer.
There. Drink helps.
Helps what?
You go to the dining saloon yourself. I'll be along soon.
Do you mind if I ask what's wrong?
I can handle it.
Yes, of course. I'll be in the dining saloon.
Wait a minute. Come back.
All right. What is it?
You were going to leave, weren't you?
I don't understand.
You'd have left me. You saw I was troubled, very troubled, and I wanted to talk to you, but you made me ask you.
Oh, please, don't get angry, Robert. Please don't
You
argue.
always make me ask you for your attention, always, ever since we've been married.
Not always, Robert. Not ever since we were married.
Most of the time. You changed. You got quiet. You never wanted to talk about things I was doing.
You never accepted my suggestions.
You didn't understand the legal profession, the workings of law.
That's why I stopped giving suggestions.
It wasn't suggestions I wanted. It was encouragement to have you believe in me. But you never did. The more I gave you, the more I tried to give you, the less you seemed to care.
Oh, please.
You think
stop.
all these things come out of the sky? Do you think they were given to me? I had to fight for them. To fight to get things for you.
I never asked for them.
Oh, but you took them. You never refused them. You never said, no, I don't want a lot of clothes. No, I don't want a fur coat. You never said no.
Stop shouting. Stop. Shout.
Everything. For you. But you give nothing in return. No love or affection or like, not even liking.
Oh, stop.
Why didn't you ask for a divorce? I'll give you a divorce. Easy. Simple. Is that what you want?
Oh, I can't stand any more.
Here.
Oh,
You're not going to leave now.
my arm.
You know why you want to divorce me? You know why you won't? Because of these comforts. And that's all you want. And you'd lose them. You'd lose them overnight.
Why do you do this?
I've paid for everything in my life, for everything. Everything you have. Only now it's time for you to pay, too. To kill a man is the easiest thing in the world to do. To kill a man who would take your wife from you. I know the logic. I know it's wrong. Bartell wasn't taking my wife from me, but he was taking position and wealth, and those things kept my wife to me, I thought. I knew. Bartell had to be destroyed, and she would have to be partner to it. That way, she'd never leave. That way, I'd achieve everything. That's why I told her the story as if I'd memorized it, as if it was the only thing I'd ever thought about, as if Bartell's death was the last obstacle in our life.
No, Robert. Please, don't, Robert.
You'll distract him up there on the deck, at the dark place on the deck.
Don't ask me. Don't make me part of this.
Together, we plan it. Together, we need him. Together. Come on, Betty, the hour is up. Bartell's hour is up.
bringing you Mr. Joseph Cotton in A Watery Grave, tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Wow, I feel great now.
Ah, thanks to your Autolite spark plug dealer and his exclusive plug check indicator, Oscar.
And those new ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. They're right at home in my ignition system.
That's because Autolite spark plugs are designed by the same Autolite engineers who design the coil, distributor, and all the other important parts of complete ignition systems used as original equipment on many leading makes of our finest cars, trucks, and tractors.
What type Autolite spark plugs did I get, Mr. Wilcox?
The new Autolite resistor type, Oscar. They give double life, greater gas savings, and quicker starts as compared to spark plugs without a built-in resistor. And the Autolite resistor spark plug is only one of a complete line of ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs designed for every use. So, friends, take a tip from me and see your Autolite spark plug dealer. Have him check your spark plugs. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Joseph Cotton in Elliot Lewis's production of A Watery Grave, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
How did I start to die? Then, at that moment, as we walked along the deck, did I start to die then because I knew I would kill Bartell? Does one die a little if one plans to kill a human being and die more when one does it? And to compound it, Your Honor... Funny to think, Your Honor. Funny to think that way now. To compound it by knowing your wife hates you more than anything in the world because she's terrified, infuriated by her hate, but pleased with her terror. How can she hate me so? In so short a time, I gave her everything. I tried to be something important for her, and rich for her, and killed for her. As we walked along the deck, I had no real idea how I would kill Bartell, no exact idea, but it had to be done. I held Betty's arm tightly as we approached the dark part of the deck near the railing, the place where Bartell was, not actually a railing, an entrance for a ramp with only a chain across it. Bartell, this is my wife.
What did you decide?
I've been talking to her. I've been explaining to her.
What did you decide?
Don't talk to me like that, Bartell. Don't ever talk to me like that.
Do you put me in your stateroom?
Yes, of course.
And guarantee to get me off the ship?
I couldn't guarantee. Guarantees and things like this are impossible. There are officials to get at, ship's officers, finding the right people.
Oh, you're good at putting in a fix, Mr. Callan. You've been putting in fixes all the way from the slums up to the penthouses. Ship shouldn't stop you.
Don't say things like that.
Why not? Everybody knows how McNeely pays off, and you're one of McNeely's boys now. Anytime he wants to put his fingers in a dirty deal, he'll use your hands to do it.
Don't talk like that in front of my wife.
Yeah, she'll get used to it. McNeely doesn't care who knows about his dirty-handed men.
Shut up.
Shut up!
I lunged at him. He didn't even reach for his gun he was carrying. He didn't think I was capable of doing it. His back was against the chain, his good arm flailing wildly. Over the chain, over and into the water. I didn't see in the darkness. I didn't know until I heard the scream.
Let go! Let go!
Only it was too late for Bartell to let go. Get a grip on my wife's arm. Before I could move, before I could do anything, it was insane. She was pulled over the side, too. Over into the water. I had to save her. There was little I could do to save her would be to save Bartell, but I didn't hesitate. I know that. I'm sure of it. I grabbed the nearest life preserver and hurled it over the side. I could barely see them struggling in the water with the ship's propellers coming nearer. And then I knew I would have to jump. I would go over. I could still finish Bartell and save Betty. Still, I could have everything, and it would be called an accident. I went over the side. Lie flat. Don't try to swim. The watch from the propellers.
Help! Robert, help!
Don't fight. Float on the back watch. Float. Suddenly the terror was gone, and I could see Betty staying afloat near the life preserver, and beyond that, Bartell struggling with one good arm, struggling to get to the life preserver first. I forgot about Betty. I forgot everything except that I had to get him before he took the life preserver. You'll never get it.
Keep back! A gun! I have a gun!
Nothing now.
Robert, don't!
Keep away from me!
Now.
Keep away!
Now, Bartell. Now try to talk.
I'm sorry.
Now, tell your story underwater.
No!
Tell it.
Oh, no!
From the sea. Tell your story. Tell it from the sea.
You murdered him.
It was Bartell. Take the preserver and hold on to it. Don't you understand? It was Bartell or us.
I never knew you.
Well, the ship will turn around and pick us up soon. You must understand.
I never really knew you. It takes something to kill a man.
Bartell was the killer. A ruthless man. I know. I was the one who forced him to turn state's evidence.
Something horrible in you. Maybe that's why we've been growing apart. Maybe I saw it but didn't recognize it. I'd never seen it before.
You see it every day in the eyes of the people.
That's a lie.
Look at the murders. Look at war. Can't make people kill each other if they don't want to.
Could you? How could you? I'll never forget the look on his face when he knew he was going to be drowned. That you were going to do it. But terror.
Crying. Crying for him. Crying for a hoodlum, a killer. Crying for a gangster.
Yes. Tears for him.
Oh, he doesn't deserve it. Why should he be cried over? Why him? You never wept for me.
I weep for you, too.
I don't need pity. I don't need your pity.
I'm not giving you pity. I'm trying to find a way to forgive you.
Yeah. Hold on to the life preserver. You'll drown if you let go.
Get away from me.
You clawed me.
Don't come near me. You only want the life preserver.
All right, you want to believe it. It's true. And I'll get it.
I'll claw you. I'll claw your eyes.
You'll never have a chance.
The water carries me faster. You'll never catch up to me.
I'll catch up. Oh, Betty. Don't be a fool. Come back. Betty. Come back. The ship will turn around. The ship will save us.
Die, Robert. Die like you'd let anyone die for you. Die for yourself.
I don't need a life preserver. I can hold out until the ship turns around.
They're still going for the horizon.
Ship. They'll turn around. Have the biggest suite on the ship. They'll miss us and turn around in a few minutes.
What makes you think you're so important? What makes you think you'd be missed?
I am important.
What makes you want to be so big? So much?
Oh. It was for you. What I've struggled so hard to get. Oh. For you.
For yourself. Getting rich to please yourself, but you never enjoyed it either.
You'd have left me if I'd stopped. Stopped making so much.
I only wanted love. Only wanted a family. Your love, your children. Only yours.
Oh. You mean that. You do mean that.
Too late. Too late.
Oh, we can't. Oh, in time, we can forget.
How? How can I forget? How can you?
Oh, you're right. It was for me, and it wasn't for the money, for the wealth. It was for power. Not even that. Oh, darling, my darling Betty. Oh, my wonderful Betty.
Rob, the ship is turning. Hold on, Rob.
I
And I'll come to you. The life preserver can support both of us.
When did I start to die, Betty? I'm dying now. When did I start to die?
Don't talk to me. Hold up, Robert. Hold up.
When I knew I would kill Bartell. Oh. It was sooner. When I said I will look the other way. Yes, Mr. McNeely. You can kill Bartell. I will look the other way.
Hold up, darling.
Yes, Mr. McNeely. Only I started to die long before, years before. Maybe I've been killing myself all my life. A slow way. A subtle way.
Darling, please hold on a minute longer. Only a minute.
I can't. My darling. I love.
Robert.
Suspense. Presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Joseph Cotton.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. And during these early months of 52, the Autolite family joins in saluting the leading manufacturers who install Autolite products as original equipment. Our Autolite family is made up of the nearly 30,000 men and women in 28 great Autolite plants from coast to coast and in still other Autolite plants in many foreign countries. It also includes more than 18,000 people who have invested a portion of their savings in Autolite, as well as 96,000 Autolite distributors and dealers in the United States and thousands more in Canada and throughout the world. Our Autolite family will salute the leading truck manufacturers who use Autolite products on the next Autolite Suspense television program. If you live in a television area, check the day and time of Suspense on television so that you'll be sure to see this program. And remember, be with us next week for another thrilling Autolite Suspense program on radio.
Next week, our star will be Mr. Frank Lovejoy in the recreation of an historical puzzle, a radio dramatization of The Wreck of the Old 97, a story based on fact and presented on Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. A Watery Grave was written for Suspense by Arthur Ross. In tonight's story, Mary Jane Croft was heard as Betty, Stan Waxman as McNeely, and Joseph Kearns as Bartell.
Joseph Cotton may soon be seen in The Untamed, a Universal International picture co-starring Shelley Winters.
And remember, next week on Suspense, Mr. Frank Lovejoy in The Wreck of the Old 97.
Last July, the nation's first flood in a decade smashed through Kansas and Missouri. The Red Cross was on the job to relieve the suffering and shelter the homeless. This was only one of 300 domestic disasters in which the Red Cross gave aid last year. To carry on its vital work, the Red Cross needs your financial aid now. Give generously. This is the CBS Radio Network.